Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
Fucking A.
So, see, we've got Critical Cripple and Amiga Nuts with us already.
Yep.
So,
you guys go to every stream.
Well, Dave often doesn't get in here until the very end, just because of the time lag between us. So, anyway, we were just kind of discussing how different people came into paganism.
Yeah, you know, it seems like a lot of folks I know have been pagans at one time or another. Mostly my friends from the goth community, but still.
Yeah, it's something that's still a little more difficult for me to deal with, like the people who are around that are the polytheists and that than the Christians, because I actually spent a lot more time in the pagan community than I did, in any Christian church. That's well, I started out in the Catholic Church and pretty much got kicked out of that when I was 8 or 9. So I tried going to a Methodist church for a few years, and I think I gave up on that when I was about 14 or 15. And that was kind of it at that point for the Bible as far as I was concerned.
Well, you know, if I ever do end up religious, I'm going to be a Lex Lutheran.
Okay.
Well, you know, we stand for complete domination of the world and the utter destruction of Superman.
And honestly, there's probably more text supporting his existence.
There is that. So, I don't know. Religion is such a strange thing. Like, I mean, the pagans that I've known, I'm not even necessarily sure they believe it. I think they just really wanted something cool and magical in their lives, which I can totally understand because I was raised in the 80s when movies were way cooler than they are now, at least in terms of writing and ideas and world building and all of that. And so, like, I always wanted something cool. I always wanted to be abducted by aliens or given magic powers or something. That never happened, and I was disappointed. I can understand someone else turning to paganism for that.
Oh, yeah, there was definitely a share of people that were like that. And, I guess that's kind of the same thing as the people who, fall heavy into the conspiracy theories that, kind of wanting something that makes them feel special and wanting to feel that they have some truth that most people don't get.
Yeah, I remember back in Vermont, we have our own version of the Loch Ness Monster, basically, is Champ, like for Lake Champlain.
Yep.
And, me and my friends, we always used to pretend we could totally see Champ and all this stuff, but we all knew it was fake. And that's much the way I look at a lot of the religious stuff I see, is that, come on, you have to know that's not real.
Yeah.
But it's fun to pretend that it is.
Yeah, I know about Champ. When I was a teenager, I was quite enthralled with the cryptids, and was another thing that I spent several years studying. I actually did a term paper on them at one point, specifically term paper on lake monsters. And it is interesting, how many of these things there are around the world. There's like at least 150 lakes that claim that they have these monsters. There's like 60 of them in the US.
Isn't there one in Lake Erie, or am I wrong?
Yeah, there's been some reported sightings of one.
But it's funny you say you did a report on lake monsters. That's the name of the Burlington, Vermont minor league baseball team, is the Lake Monsters.
Yeah, I can see. Oh.
So you got any plans for today?
Not really beyond this. I mean, I've always got a list of things that have to be done by Friday.
Well, I'm working on some animation stuff, and as much as I made 2 videos in the last 2 days, actually scratch that, 2 videos in a live stream, I'm thinking I might even make another video today. I'm not sure though. Depends how I'm feeling after this stream.
Yeah, I saw what you had beside the unboxing thing. You had something up yesterday and something up the day before, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah. Well,
I know
I
I watched
hadn't
them, but
even.
it's hard for me to keep straight, what was which day.
Yeah. Time is definitely displaced when we have to socially distance and quarantine ourselves, etc., etc. But I hadn't even intended to make yesterday's video. But when you see someone that stupid on the internet, it's hard to not. And it wasn't so much destruction of the world as domination.
Hi, Diane. You want to jump in here with us? Yeah, well, as far as, I mean, every day you can find something that's stupid on the internet. And
Oh, I know, but this was someone who was stupid in my wheelhouse.
yeah, I thought about it, but I don't think I really want to get into doing response videos.
Well, that's my bread and butter these days.
Yeah.
There was a time I didn't do response videos. When I first started, I just sort of wrote a script and spoke it, and that was it. And it was just my thoughts on belief and why it's dippy. So.
Yeah, I remember a lot of your older videos and, the various series you did with Sandra.
Yeah. I don't know. There have been times I've thought about trying to resurrect Rational Station, but I have so many other projects I'm working on that it's not worth it.
Yeah, well, that definitely was one of my favorites, but, I do understand how much time the animation must take.
Oof, you have no idea. I mean, a single animation can take months, depending on how long it is, longer even.
Yeah, I'd had that impression, but not something I've ever actually tried to do myself.
Well, it's definitely not for those who can't dedicate a lot of time to it, believe me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I just wasn't even able to dedicate the time to, learn the tools to do it.
Mm-hmm. And, it's one of those things where it looks like a lot of fun, but the amount of prep work just to even start animating is insane. Like there's this one set I've been building. It's a futuristic laboratory. It'll probably take me 2-3 weeks to finish at least. And that's after I know what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, I'm sure just to get all the background detail in, and it's a separate thing for anything that has to move in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And of course, you just start with a completely, utterly blank scene and start putting objects in it. And you start with the simplest objects and start refining them into something cooler. And it's one heck of a project, I gotta say. Real production.
Yeah, you've already been working on that for several months, huh?
Longer. I mean, mind you, I took a lot of breaks while I was doing the prep work just because it does get a little tedious. But since I started animating, I've been at it for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I talk about how much work it is, but I'm not really complaining. I enjoy it.
Yeah, well, that's about the best you can hope for, is to just find things that you enjoy taking your time with.
Well, I mean, one of the best things in life is loving your job.
Yep. Yeah, the best I've ever been able to manage was finding a job that I didn't dread going to.
I think probably the best job I ever had was making video games. Like, I used to work at this one company called Zombie in Seattle, and like I started as a cutscene scripter and then moved up to level design, and that was so fun. I loved the hell out of that.
Hello.
Hi, cutie. Hi, Purple.
Okay, you said hi to him twice. What about me?
Oh. I keep running into you. We're going to have to quit meeting like this. People are going to start to talk.
I think people already talk.
Of course they do.
Or did you mean about us?
Yeah, I kind of need people to talk, otherwise I don't have much of a channel.
Oh my! Where the heck did I put my headphone cable? I have no freaking idea. There it is. There it is. Yay!
Yeah, I had wanted to record some stuff this week, but Windows decided to do an update. And
oh, shit.
Yeah, well, it finally managed to do the update, but in the process, it's disabled half the stuff plugged into the USB ports.
Oi.
It will not have to do that.
You have to like reload 1,000 drivers or something?
I can't figure out what it is, but the Snowball mic and the printer aren't working.
Oh,
and I tried to reload all the drivers, so it's something to do with it not reading the USB ports right.
Oi.
I hope it didn't break something when it updated.
No, I think
that's totally unheard of, you know.
Yeah. I think it's more likely it's somehow corrupted the driver files for the USBs itself.
That's kind of what I was after, yeah.
But unfortunately, Windows it won't even really let me fix it, because it's like I try to update those and it says you don't need to, they're up to date. So
you might have to like uninstall them and reinstall them.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah,
the problem is the keyboard and the trackball are USB devices. So if I uninstall USB drivers, how do I reinstall anything?
Do you have
magic?
Do you have an old PS2 keyboard laying around?
No.
Do you have $10 to get one at Walmart?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Then I'd probably have to buy a PS2 keyboard and trackball, assuming I can find one. These stocks at Walmart are not very good lately.
Well, I mean, under normal circumstances, they usually are out there. But now with the whole surveillance virus and everything else going on.
Hi, Maya.
You know, maybe I'm just out of date, because I seem to remember there was a computer called PS2 as well. But when someone says PS2, my first thought is PlayStation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I still think PlayStation, but yeah, it was also the older standard for plugging in the keyboards.
It's kind of like here in San Diego, I'm still getting used to everyone abbreviating the town as SD, because in my world, SD means Star Destroyer.
Oh, okay.
I run into that a lot, especially on the internet. You know, I run into people using acronyms, and it's like, if they're not ones you're familiar with and you take it out of context, you get something completely different.
Mm-hmm. There was someone, she thought that LOL meant lots of love. And so she would attach it to the end of like funeral notices and all kinds of bad news, because she wanted to say lots of love. Yeah.
Okay.
Oops.
Oh, no.
So her kid straightens it out. You know, he's like, Mom, why do you keep doing that? And she's like, what? It means lots of love. He's like, no, it doesn't.
No. Well, there's one that happens with me all the time, and I have to remind myself that it's not that way. It's not a case of appropriation, but when I see STL, I think Seattle rather than St. Louis.
I think Seattle is SEA. I mean, well, it depends. What are we talking about precisely? Are we talking about like flights on airplanes or what?
Well, baseball teams, but I think other
Oh.
things work that way as well. Because when I think of St. Louis, oh wait a minute here. No, let me get it right. I had it wrong the first time. When I see STL, I think of St. Louis rather than Seattle. I think did I say that the first time?
I don't know about the sports thing, but
I haven't had enough coffee yet.
But Seattle Tacoma International Airport's code is SEA.
SEA, okay.
Yeah,
and I think the baseball team's code is that as well. But
well, I can check that easily enough. Seattle baseball abbreviation. Seattle Mariners SEA.
yeah, there we go. And I keep thinking it should be STL. That's the way it goes. Because I'm thinking SL for St. Louis.
I don't know. If someone just showed me STL cold and asked me what it meant, my first thought would have been slower than light.
Okay.
Well,
but then again,
in sci-fi, FTL faster than light.
There you are. And then, of course, you know how backward I am. So
Yeah.
you remind me of that, quite often.
Well, if you don't want to be reminded of it, you should stop doing it.
Oh, fun.
I'm so much fun. I am a constant fucking delight.
Yes, you are, but okay.
There's a chance you might be a little bit biased on that one, lassie.
About that much, maybe. Oh, my, oh, my.
I did that with a bad accent, but I did, and now I'll own it, so.
Now you're going to have to try to do it the Robin Williams way. Do the drunk Scotsman.
Oh, well, that's basically just the Scottish version of the Swedish Chef.
Oh, God. When you're a drunk Scotsman, what do you throw over your shoulders?
A continental soldier.
Okay, fine. Okay.
I thought that part was obvious.
Alrighty then. Well, I'm a little dense. You remind me of that too.
So dense light can't escape you.
You got it. Yes, folks. This is Coffee with Lavender continued.
Yeah, this does seem rather typical for us, doesn't it?
It's still.
That's okay. My brain's still too slow today. So it's like,
I keep telling you, and I actually do mean it. It's getting to the point where I almost don't know how to do a show without you. So,
well, I could challenge you on that and just be randomly sick one day during one of your streams and see how it goes.
Oh, my word. Well, actually, after you took off last night, I stayed around for a little while. I was able to play back and forth off the side chat. Jen with one N and I were talking a little bit, but she had things to do, so she couldn't come on. So,
how's she doing? I haven't seen her around lately.
Not too bad. Last night was her movie night at home. She and Ellen put on a movie, I guess, every Tuesday or something like that. Can't remember if any of the kids are still there. Oh, well, one is, because I think is it that her boy just graduated from high school or something?
Okay, so obviously, see, the thing is, there's so many freaking Jens, I can't keep track of which one's which. And so, like, Jen with one N is not Australian Jen?
No, Jen with one N lives by Niagara Falls.
Okay, like I said, I can't keep track. I just fucking can't, so.
She's got a channel that she has actually done some pretty impressive animation when you consider it's all done on her cell phone.
Yeah.
But she has a series on exploring the alphabet that she's just been picking topics by the letter they start with and going through.
So she knows that topic from A to Z.
You got it.
And she did have one in there on a lake monster too. I think it was Ogopogo.
Oh, interesting.
Okay then.
I've never heard of Ogopogo then, though.
Yeah, I remember mention of it, but I forget all the details.
I don't remember what state it's in, but yeah, Ogopogo was just another lake monster somewhere in the U.S.
Okay, here
It's
we
funny, like we were talking about Champ before, and
Yeah.
like Champ by legend is supposed to be male rather than female, the way Nessie is. But there was a Choose Your Own Adventure book about Champ back in the 80s, and they got that wrong. And being the pedantic little brat that I am, I complained about it.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, it wasn't even necessarily, hey, this is like reverse sexist or some shit. I don't know. It was more a matter of that's not the legend, though.
Mhm. Well, I just did a little bit of looking here, and according to the font of all knowledge, better known as Wikipedia, Ogopogo is out of BC, out of British Columbia.
That's right. It's a Canadian one.
So where is Oingo Boingo?
Oingo Boingo? I don't know that one.
Wasn't that a band or something?
It is a band. It's the band that Danny Elfman was in. But I just figured I'd see if anyone knew that.
See, I surprised you.
Yeah. Except you had to ask instead of saying, hey, that's a band. So it doesn't count.
I always do that if I'm slightly unsure. Remember, I have a science background.
Yeah.
And we rarely make definitive statements.
Well, that was a definitive statement, so I'm lying.
Speaking of religion, I was looking through some stuff this morning, and in Hemant Mehta's Friendly Atheist, it appears that there's a Christian author coming under fire for being nice to her lesbian daughter.
Really?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it
well,
up.
That depends on which branch of Christian you got. Some of them are pretty vehement on it.
She's an evangelical.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there was something I discovered recently that I hadn't known. I was rewatching Star Trek: The Next Generation because I needed some background noise while I was working on projects. Okay. And apparently, because there was one episode where Riker had been cloned against his will.
Oh, boy.
And when he objected, he said, I have the right to control my own body. And a bunch of pro-life groups wrote in and bitched, saying,
oh, boy.
And I'm like, okay, number one, you realize he was never pregnant, right? You know that Riker's a dude, right? And like, why shouldn't people have control over their own bodies? It was just one of the most bizarre little trivia tidbits I'd ever seen.
Yeah, and that leads into another one I found this morning. It appears that the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the company, not the sisters of something or other that didn't want to provide birth control with the employment health plan. It seems that they got a favorable rating from SCOTUS. The only two dissenters were Sotomayor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Let me get that right. So, yeah, I'm getting the idea that the conservative court is throwing its weight around.
But that's just so weird, given their recent decision on trans rights, though.
Isn't it, though? Yeah, I don't know why that one went that way.
Well, and especially when you say it was only two dissenters, because I would have thought that it would be a 5-4 split again.
Yeah,
well,
this one was 7-2.
I saw something, I think it was Justice Roberts was apparently in the hospital after like hitting his head or something.
Did it not be sent to him?
I saw this article on Facebook earlier today. At least one Supreme Court justice got knocked on the head and is now in the hospital.
Oh, boy. Okay. So, I mean, I'm going to sound horrible when I say this. Better that it be one of the right-leaning judges than our remaining liberal judges.
Well, this is what I look like when I'm not arguing with you.
Okay. And the thing is, I really don't even like the terminology there. I don't like to hear about conservative judges or liberal judges. As far as I am concerned, they should be ruling on the law rather than ideology.
Well, of course.
Well, yeah, up until 2000, we were told that the courts were non-political.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when was the last time that supposed to ruled in this country?
Yeah, I think it was a little while ago, and it probably was before 2000, if I remember correctly. Probably before I was around, which was a long, long time ago. I can still
In a
remember.
galaxy far away, now blue skies under an Yeah, anyway.
Oh, scheiße, zu viel Scheiße.
Yeah, I'm thinking part of the problem is that, we got the sanitized history.
Yeah.
Yes,
The more we
that
look
is
back
true.
into it, the more we realize that, our country was never really that way in the first place.
Right.
I mean, even just the whole Columbus thing that's going on right now. It's like,
Yes.
I get that a lot of people don't want their illusions shattered and want their heroes to stay heroic, but reality intrudes just a smidge.
Yeah, I noticed that with myself. A number of years ago, there was a Discovery Channel program on the Spanish-American War. The narrator was beginning the show, and it talked about an unjust war waged by the United States against Mexico. And I felt myself go rigid for a minute there. And then it was, wait a minute, that's a knee-jerk, because he's right.
Well, I remember hearing about someone, like a teacher, who had a student that handed in a history report that started with in the late 20th century. And the teacher had to stop a minute and go, "Oh, fuck, you mean the 90s, don't you?"
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's hard to think about that it was the late 20, I don't know.
Indeed. I mean, what we got when I was in middle school, especially, was not history. It was propaganda. I mean, when I look back on it now, there was Manifest Destiny was a good thing. And it was the war between the states rather than the war over slavery. And, on and on and on and on.
The teacher I had in 4th through 6th grade insisted that the Civil War was not about slavery. Get your papers marked down about that.
And I bought it for the longest time until I was finally shown the Cornerstone speech. I forget what the man's name was, but it was a speech delivered before what became the Confederate Congress about why they should secede. And it was all about, we must retain our superiority over, I can't even, I'm not even sure if I should say that word, because it's...
Oh, is it the one that's a color in Spanish, that word?
Yes, yeah, that one.
Okay.
I don't even know if that's a good word or not anymore.
Well, I mean, they pronounce it a little differently. The E sound is more of an eh than an E.
Right, yes.
I think it can be forgiven if it's clear you're speaking Spanish.
Yes, I mean, frijoles negros. We know what we're talking about there. But if you change that vowel a little bit, then you run into trouble. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite Louis C.K. Routines is when he's saying that Jew is a weird word because it can just be the name for people and also the slur for the same people. He's like, you can say about a friend, "Oh, he's a Jew," or you can say, "Oh, he's a Jew," and it completely changes the meaning of the word. And he's right.
Well, see, that's what I've always liked about that very proper British accent, is based on inflection. Have a good day can be any, or good day, sir, can be anything from nice weather we're having to fuck you.
Oh, sort of like bless his heart in the southern U.S. Huh?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know why. A couple of weeks ago, what popped into my head was to make a variant on that one and say, "Oh, bless your frozen little heart." which I thought was pretty good.
I don't know.
So,
Somehow
Yeah,
that
I'm
sounds like
liking
a
it.
Minnesota thing.
Oh my word, yeah. Oh geez. I kind of like the way this is set up today. We didn't intend it to be set up this way, but yeah, you and I, Kate, are being the interviewees, kind of, and it's kind of nice to sit here and do that.
well, I suppose.
But
Oh god damn! Does that mean I'm in charge?
guess what?
Yeah,
You're
that it was
sweetie.
one of the problems I had raising kids, that I have such a total disdain for authority that the idea of being one was really uncomfortable.
Yes, absolutely. And I will give you that is one of the reasons that I remained child free, is that whole authority issue. I was afraid of being too damned permissive because of the way I was raised. I was, raised in an authoritarian regime, or going the other way and continuing the tradition, shall we say, and being just as authoritarian as those two were.
Yeah, their mothers always got after me about letting them get away with too much. Like,
Well, the main reason why I never wanted kids, honestly, is just the responsibility. I don't want to change diapers. I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to have to spend the time disciplining them. Cats are enough for me. That's plenty of responsibility. Screw
Oh, yeah.
having kids. I think that's insane. I can't believe anyone does it.
Yeah, really.
Man, I wonder how many people have romanticized the experience of having kids to where when they finally have them, they're like, I had no idea what I was signing on for.
oh, that happens a lot, especially to women.
I was about to say, I would say most. I am willing to advance the proposition that most people who have kids didn't get past the cute and cuddly phase.
Yeah.
They didn't consider what happens when the kid figured out how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even right from the start, and I do have to say that a lot of this, I think, is because, the churches that push the typical role of the woman being in the home and taking care of the kids, that they try to build it up about how great an experience it is to be a mother. And one of the things they don't mention is changing diapers.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to deal with from day one.
And the other thing they don't mention is that set of roles really wasn't the case until after World War II. I mean, as far as I understand, women were much more active in day-to-day affairs and much less the good, sweet mother and everything. I mean, they were always still barefoot and pregnant. That's the way they were supposed to be. But
well, definitely in agricultural societies, you pretty much need all the hands in the field.
Bingo! Yeah, you got it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you don't see any of this until you start seeing industrialization. Thank you. And he goes to work with his lunchbox, and she stays home and goes crazy with the kids.
Yeah, I think the way most people think of it is primarily kind of an idealized 1950s image.
Yeah, which is what I was after when I started this.
Although I do think it started earlier because it was kind of a bump there, during World War II about women going into the factories.
Rosie the Riveter and all that.
Yes.
Yeah, so it seems that it was before that time that they had settled into the routine that women were supposed to stay home.
Yeah, okay, I see where you're
coming from. But I mean, that was also a time in our history when you could have one person working in the home and you could have a house, 2 cars, 2 kids, a dog, all of that stuff on one person's salary.
I actually remember that time.
And again, that came with the post-World War boom.
Mm-hmm.
That all the factories were geared up and, producing goods. And, that's when we really became a consumer society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It didn't necessarily happen in my house, but when I was quite, on the younger side, single digits, I remember the other kids in the neighborhood. Dad went to work and mom stayed home, raised the kids, and they still had the nice house in the suburbs. They still had a couple of cars. Some of them even had a dog, a couple of kids, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The slimy bastards were the exception as far as I saw, because they both went into the store because he owned a retail store. So yeah, the entire family got involved. Well, not so much the entire family. My sister was not pressed into service as slave labor. I was, but she was not.
Yeah, but the days of like mom and apple pie in this country are done. They're just over.
Oh yes,
And
they are.
yet the conservatives cling to that fantasy as hard as they can, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Well, yeah, they want to bring back the 1950s. They were happy with it.
Well, the guys do anyway.
Yeah, well,
you'd be
it was a great time to be a white man, but
I mean, there are a lot of women out there who are basically like, what's the female equivalent of an Uncle Tom? But that's basically like, there's a lot of women who think that, I mean, what's her face? The transformed wife or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Her. Yes.
There are plenty of people out there like that who think they should be barefoot and pregnant. What was the one, Girl Defined or something, with those two creepy ass little blondes?
Yeah.
Well, what I
want to know, this are pretty hypocritical themselves, because it's like they're telling other women, don't be visible and telling people what to do, like I'm doing. Yeah, they're not exactly sweet and demure and invisible. And the other thing I want to know, how many of these women are secretly not on board, but they have to be because they've been beaten into submission, that sort of thing?
Like the most rabidly anti-gay guy out there is gay himself.
Yeah, kind of like that. Well, I have to wonder what Mrs. Duggar really thinks, if she thinks at all. And I say that because the slimy bastards were a case in point. She had not a thought of her own. She was what he wanted her to be. Well, I think there's that. I think there's also the dynamic of, and I would kind of think this is the case with the transformed wife, that she's really the dominant personality in the relationship, that they outwardly project the image the church tells them they're supposed to have, but she's the one making the decisions in the household. Yeah, it could well be. It's entirely possible. Moo.
Yeah.
Let me close some of these extra windows here. We don't need these open. We've already dealt with Oingo Boingo.
I'm just so tired of watching the world and going, what is wrong with these idiots?
Yeah.
And it's easy enough to doubt yourself going, am I the only sane voice in the room, or am I completely insane?
Oh, absolutely. Not a day goes by I don't ask myself that question. Shut up.
And that's the problem, though, is that the people who are nuts or stupid are the ones who don't ask themselves that question. They are the poster children of Dunning-Kruger.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, my. Sometimes I wonder if it's just time to board the mystery ship and sail away to a world, that I might have missed.
Why do I feel like that's a reference to something?
It's a reference to a song called Ride, Captain, Ride, but it's from a while back.
Yeah, I figured out that part.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't that, I would have expected it to be some sort of Fantasy Island knockoff. Or a boat knockoff.
Yeah, what was it? Ride, Captain, ride upon your mystery ship. We were amazed at the friends you're having on your trip. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's an interesting little song. I think it was their only hit. I think the band that produced it was a one-hit wonder.
Oh, so many of them are.
Well, even to get that.
Yeah, so often though, I think that maybe it just would be better if I couldn't go off and hibernate somewhere and just get away from everything. But
yeah, hibernation has often sounded like a good idea, but things tend to pile up when you do that.
yeah, it's not that I don't try. I mean, I've been known to spend, a day or two straight in bed. Well, not straight that way.
You know what you meant.
Yeah. 48 hours in bed, and it's like, maybe I really should feed the cat,
Well, that, and after a while, the bladder starts to complain.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Well,
So does the stomach.
I'd like to get to the point where I was some number of years ago, where I could forget to eat. Go a couple days without food because I was too busy doing something. But no, I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Yeah, I've never been in that state ever.
Yeah,
that still happens to me. If I can get working on a project, I can go 3 days and forget to eat.
Yep, I remember one project I was working on some years ago. I was at my machine, just clacking away. Get up and get coffee every now and then. Go back to the machine, go clacking away. I got up to get coffee and I was dizzy. And I thought, wow, why the hell am I dizzy? Oh, I haven't eaten since Thursday. And it was like Monday. So I think I'd better do something about that.
Well, oh yeah. Did you see my unboxing video?
Yes, I did.
So you saw that someone bought me a Mr. Coffee.
Yes, I did. I wonder where they got the idea for that, because I never heard you mention wanting one.
I never did mention wanting one.
I
So
mean, I know you're not going to refuse
got the idea either. I have no idea.
The only problem I see with that, I mean, as much of coffee as you drink, the 6 cups or 8 cups might be a little bit of overkill. I don't know.
1 mug of coffee is overkill right now.
Okay, yeah.
Like not even 1 pot or not even 2 mugs of it spread out over the day. 1 is plenty.
Yeah, and it's difficult to make 1 mug of coffee in a rig like that one. I mean, there are rigs out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where you can make 1, and I've never had one for obvious reasons.
Well, since I didn't drink coffee with my fiance, she just had a coffee maker that just did it like right into the 16-ounce travel mug.
Ah, yeah.
Well, whenever my dad comes to visit, he always wants the fresh ground coffee instead of the instant I always drink. And so this will probably it'll be used more by my dad, like maybe twice a year tops.
Okay. Well, I guess it's not a waste then.
Yeah. Probably just kind of the assumption that everyone in this country drinks coffee.
Well, I mean, I had started to get into it for a couple of years before the seizures hit. Sometimes I wonder if I just had too much caffeine and that's what caused the bleed in my brain.
I don't think that alone could have caused it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly. I'm the neuroscientist in the bunch, but I still can't tell you. Oh, my.
Oh.
Hey, Alias. Hi, sweetie.
Hello, Jen.
Hello.
Oh,
Jen,
we got the whole lunatic brigade here today.
Hi, honey. I didn't see you come in because I was looking at the YouTube screen.
Excuses.
Yeah, I know. I'm good at them, right?
Boy, it is fucking hot out there today.
Is it?
I cannot call it hot, at least right now. I mean, I am clothed, but I am not soaking in sweat. Give me half a second here. I'm curious now. I'll check the thermometer.
Well, it's 73F here in San Diego.
Yeah, well, you know what you could do, and that horse that that came in
Oh,
and stuff.
geez. Here in the apartment, it's only 84.
You know, I play a fair number of online games, and if I ever feel the need to insult someone who just scored a point or something, I will often tell them that while I'm not sexually attracted to horses, I'll make an exception for the one they rode in on. And they usually get the idea.
It's knocking on the door of 100.
Oh, boy, moi. Yeah, in
What part
here
of the country are
it's
you in?
in here it's 84.
Okay,
What's
now my
really
brain
weird-
is.
What?
Oh, just now my brain is stuck on baby centaurs, but
Well,
Oh,
I'd
okay.
very much like to know what section of, well, heck, the world are you in that it's 100 degrees there?
Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
You know,
No,
the winter state.
yeah, I'm not that
Oh,
far from you, and it's not
no
feeling
winter
that bad
in
here.
Vermont.
Well, you're getting rain up there, I thought.
Well, not since I got up, but that hasn't
Oh,
been
okay.
that long. It could have rained overnight.
But
But
no,
yeah,
so-
I've got the air conditioner shut down. I've got the windows open. It doesn't seem all that bad here.
Oh.
I'm
Yeah,
just
okay.
I don't know winter until you've had a winter in Vermont.
No, you haven't been through Minnesota winters.
Have you been to a Vermont winter?
No,
Well, there we go
I've,
then.
I've been through winter in central New York.
It's not the same.
Yeah, even Weather Underground saying that St. Cloud's only 82.
Oh my, you're having a cold snap. Yeah, here in Pittsburgh, it's 90 with a humidity of 47%. So they say it feels like 95.
Yeah, this has been about the coolest it's been all week.
Oh, Jesus. No, don't do this, people. God damn it.
Why do I keep thinking that you're in Philadelphia?
I don't know. Well, here I am in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'm on the other side of the state.
Hmm.
I came here to be with somebody, and it lasted a year, and I couldn't afford to go anywhere else. So here I am, 30 years later.
Here you are, rock you like a hurricane.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I think you should write a book, Stuck in Pittsburgh.
Hasn't somebody
Wow.
done that already?
Well, that's kind of how I got stuck in New York and then got stuck in Upper Michigan because I had nowhere else to go.
I won't say I ended up stuck in Seattle, but I certainly didn't leave after my relationship tanked.
Oh my! Well, the way you speak, I get the impression that you kind of liked it there.
Oh, I love Seattle, except for the weather, obviously, but I adore the town. I adore the people in the town. It's just a great place.
And excuse me, please.
What was
My
it about the weather?
understanding.
What was it about the weather?
The clouds. I got seasonal affective disorder pretty bad.
Yeah, my understanding is Seattle's the seasonal affective disorder capital of the world, basically.
Pretty much. It's like if you're sensitive to not enough light, Seattle will slowly kill you.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I wish I could sugarcoat that, but I can't. Seattle will kill you if you are a sunlight creature like I am. I mean, for example, where did I move after Seattle? Southern California.
Yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of what was up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a professor second time around in university who was from Seattle, and his daughter suffered mightily from SAD.
I'll
And
admit there were
stories-
times I very seriously felt suicidal because of that stupid weather.
Yeah, my sister kept trying to push on me that that's the problem I was having in Michigan with the seasonal affect disorder, and I was like, no, the problem I'm having is this town is driving me crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
she was happy there, so she couldn't figure out why I wasn't.
There's so much of that that goes around. Yeah, I'm having a great time. Why are you so sad? It's like, well, let me count the ways. Yeah.
Yeah, well, she was sure that, if I stayed there long enough, I was going to get to like it. And it's like, no, the longer I stay here, the more I'm becoming an alcoholic. That's the only thing that's happening.
Well, I think your statement at one point was pretty much everybody in that town was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Because that's all there was to do.
Yeah.
Be an alcoholic.
Well, it literally was. The movie theater had closed down in the 80s. The bowling alley had burned down.
Oh, scheisse. Sounds a little bit like Homestead, the little borough I lived in for a while where, everything closed down when the mills closed.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's the same kind of thing that, in the mid-'80s, the last of the 7 mines in the county closed down, and that was it. There was no industry, and sometime in the early 2000s, they literally removed the railroad tracks. They decided a train was never coming there again. They sold the tracks off for scrap iron.
Okay, then that's pretty definite action taken. Yeah.
Well, it did something smart like a bike trail, right?
Yeah, actually, they turned it into an ATV trail.
Oh, did they do that up there? Because, here they did that. Many railroad rights of way became hiking and biking trails.
Yeah, well, it was a way for the railroad to get out of having to maintain it anymore.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, some were taken under the wing of the National Park Service, and I'm not sure about the rest of them.
Otherwise, the railroad had to pay, every time they redid a road that had a railroad crossing, the railroad had to pay for a section of that road.
Yes. And the railroads aren't all that happy about spending money. We have a little bit of a problem. One of the steel mills here, the Homestead Works of U.S. Steel, what was the Carnegie Steel Works, was closed. This was late 70s, I think. By the time you came around to the 90s, it was totally razed. It became a shopping area. And the railroad companies did not want to pay for pedestrian paths. So there's only one way in. So if you're at one end of the shopping area, but on 8th Avenue, you've got to walk all the way down to the other end, cross over, and then back to Lowe's, where you were standing in the first place. Yeah. And it's annoying.
For a while, they were doing construction on my block for like a year and a half, and they blocked off the crosswalk that people needed to use to get to the supermarket as a result. And so basically, jaywalking began to run rampant on my street.
Yeah. Did anybody actually try to enforce any of the ordinances, or did they say, we know why they're doing it, we're going to leave them alone?
Well, as far as I can tell, nobody even noticed. Like, nobody in authority did anyway. But if they did, they let us keep at it, so...
Okay, because here in Pittsburgh, jaywalking is pretty much a pastime. And everybody turns a blind eye to it. And occasionally there's somebody run down, and then you get a couple tickets written, and then it goes back to the way it was. I damn near got taken out, but I was in a crosswalk, for Christ's sake. I'm crossing, and I have my wagon behind me because I had a red flyer, one of those little red wagons, because taking groceries home and back, it was great for that. But I'm going along, and here comes this car making a left turn without even bothering to stop that whole thing. Takes the wagon out. misses me by about that, but almost spins me around, but I ended up letting go of the wagon because of the shock of it being hit. Happily, it survived, but yeah, it's the people around here, they drive like assholes.
Well, I mean, the people around here are at least not in any way pedestrian friendly. They are in no way aware of crosswalks and whether or not they should be in them with their land barge. And they don't care if you complain at them.
Yeah.
So what can you do? There have been times I've been very close to just keying some fucker's car because they decided to try to make a right on red, looking only at oncoming traffic and not whether they were about to mow me down.
Okay,
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
That's the biggest problem with the right on red is that people don't look if there are any pedestrians on the corner.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And if the window for them getting into, for making that turn is really small, they'll just floor it.
Yep.
Yeah, and they forget that the pedestrian is a little slower than they are. And it's bike unfriendly here. It's not that it's not bike friendly, it is bike unfriendly. People yelling at me, for example, because I'm biking on the side of the road where you're supposed to be. And a couple people have actually done all they can to run me off the road, happily without actually running me off of it. One came really close. And that was the point at which I wish I had had a 25. Gonna take his tires out. But what are you gonna do?
Complain.
Yeah, pretty much. So
In this part of Minnesota, people are really good about stopping for pedestrians, even if they're jaywalking.
yay, that's a very good thing. It is a very good thing to stop when you're jaywalking.
You know, that's the law in most states, in most areas. I know it is up by Perp too.
Yeah, I mean, pedestrian always
yeah.
has right away. Yeah.
Well, California law says that if like someone's in a crosswalk, you absolutely have to stop. That's just the law. People don't do it, but that's the law.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think there is something to the Minnesota nice. That I do think that in Minnesota, people are a bit more aware of other people moving around them and have a bit more consideration than in a lot of other parts of the country.
Well, the consideration is the big part. I mean, because a lot of people are very aware. They just don't give a toss, and they will do what they like.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. I walk in a cane. I walk about half the speed as everybody else. It's the best I can do. And people stop and let me go through, the crosswalk. Most of the time I'll wave them on. So they don't have to wait for me. But
what you need is what I saw in a video not too long ago. A guy it was on one of those wheeled things. What do you call it? The
Segway?
Yes. Thank you. And he had a bunch of Roman candles strapped to his back. So he did the thing where it looked like he was doing a rocket down the street. And I had said something, all he needs is a coyote suit and a cliff. But you need something like that, to get you where you're going.
We have coyote suits and cliffs around here too.
All right, yeah.
I guess I'll have to get that stuff.
Well, now see, you've got to get real good at the realistic painting then, so that you can, just paint your own tunnels and not have to walk around the cliff.
Yep.
But it has to be that special paint that lets you through and no one else.
We're allowed to drive ATVs and golf carts in town here.
Okay.
Like people have these weird, they're like 3-wheeled, I can't even call them a motor scooter, but they're definitely not a motorcycle, where it's like the 2 wheels are in the front rather than in the back.
Oh yeah,
like
the 10-foot trikes.
Well,
Say
yeah, but I
again?
mean, it was a really funky looking one that I saw. It honestly looked like it could have turned into a robot in an 80s cartoon.
Yep, those are actually fairly popular, especially with older riders who've lost their sense of balance, like me.
Right.
I still have a sense of balance. I just react too slow.
Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. I think I see an example of what you're talking about.
I think I see. Sorry.
Yeah, this says Polaris Slingshot,
Yep.
22-inch staggered Lexani wheels. And I can actually share here.
What was that called? A Polaris?
Yep.
Yeah, Polaris is the company that makes them.
Yeah.
Polaris is mostly known for snowmobiles, but they've gotten into motorcycles in the last couple of decades.
Well, that's not quite what I saw, but it's close.
Okay, well, Diana, if you can share it, I'll put it up.
Yeah, sure thing. Let's see here. Okay, share screen. And what do I want? Chrome tab. Okay, this might do it. Let's find out. Is that going to make it? Is that going to work?
Somewhat. The image is a bit small, but yeah, we got the basic.
Okay, because I'm sharing a Chrome tab here, which is something I've not seen on any of the other sharing mechanisms, but
yeah, because that what you're showing right there looks way too much like a car compared to
that's a bunch of add-on aftermarket body kit stuff. The normal look of them is very motorcycle-ish, except with two wheels instead of one.
Well, then every image I'm seeing when I looked this thing up has been kit bashed into that because they all look too close to a car compared to what I saw.
Okay. I do like, though, I'm seeing the free shipping, and I like that.
I've seen a lot of what do you call them? Not mopeds, scooters with sidecars.
I think I found more what Kate's talking about here.
Or tricycle kits.
Now, Kate, I forget, did you actually buy a scooter yet?
Not yet, no. I was in the process of getting the necessary motorcycle license when the pandemic hit.
Okay.
And I gotta tell you, there ain't no way I'm waiting at the DMV for hours and hours.
Kate, is this more like what you're saying?
Closer, yeah, but that's one of the ones where the front wheels are much closer together.
Yeah. Yeah, the wheelbase looks like, what, 1.5 feet?
No, not even that.
But that certainly is much closer to what I saw anyway.
Well, you were saying they're more like scooters, and that's why I was finding that.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm used to seeing the bigger ones that are actually more like highway bikes.
Well, the one I saw, it was, I mean, number one, it was really, really low to the ground. But number two, the front wheels were so far apart, I would almost describe it as like a hammerhead shape.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I've got the basic idea of what you mean, but like I say, I'm used to seeing those as much larger bikes.
I think I might have found either it or something that is so close that it might as well be. Let's see if I can, with the share screen and the thing with the thing. Oh, whoops. That shouldn't be right. Why is one of my, do I have to have it maximized or something? Because the window I'm trying to share isn't showing up as a window I can share. That's just weird. Oh, there it is. All right, this.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's got a really nice wheelbase on it. Okay.
Yeah. What happened to Jenny?
She fell off a little while ago. I don't know if something's broken or what happened.
that was weird. Like,
Yeah, a couple minutes ago.
I heard a spoon fall, which usually means that Xander got up on the counter and went to the sink again, except he's nowhere near it, and neither is Columbia. And neither of them is giving me that guilty look that says, yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, my. Okay.
So you've been blaming the cats for your poltergeist all this time.
Nah, usually it's Xander.
Yeah, Sammy was big on the sink too. Fortunately, with the new apartment, I think I've gotten to the idea that he can be up on the bathroom sink, but not the kitchen.
Oh, my. Will you look at that? Want.
What'd you find?
I found a BMW motorcycle with sidecar.
Ah,
I just have this thing for motorcycles with sidecars. Yeah.
yeah, I've always liked them.
I am largely indifferent to them.
Hello.
There
I wonder
she
what happened to you.
is. Yeah, you went bye-bye. I don't know to knowing on the thing for to you.
I'm on my phone and I got a phone call that I had to take.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't accept that excuse.
Only one I got. Sorry.
Yeah, I had read a story one time about this guy on a motorcycle pulling up to a stoplight and just falling over and laughing. And the guy in the car next to him got out to check on him, and just the guy's laying there on the pavement laughing, and he's like, what's going on? And the guy says, this is the first time in 20 years I didn't have the sidecar attached. So he didn't think to put his foot down to balance when he stopped.
Oops.
Man, I hope he got his leg out of the way, though. I've had a not even a full motorcycle, just a scooter land on my ankle once, and that was no fun.
Yeah, sometimes they can get pretty damn heavy. What's really great about this one, I see 3 seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got the little jump seat.
Or if you want to sit on the tire.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
God, I'd love to have one of those.
Oh,
But no, that's not going to happen.
They're BMW.
Yep.
They're BMW. Weltweit Schrei. Yeah.
Flobada blib blob bleeb.
I used to have one like that.
Okay, so we're speaking in tongues now.
The boxer motor. No, that's
Which
the
did the Oten and Bodot and Skeeter dot and Wadot and Chew. Achha.
that was a World War II BMW.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you were to attach a laser onto that sidecar, it would truly be a Beamer.
Yes, indeed. There's a I don't know. I rather like were I to have an automobile, I think I would like either one of the BMWs from the 60s or a Mercedes from the 1960s.
The 1960s suck. Give me a DeLorean.
The only car in the world that runs on cocaine.
I just absolutely adore those gull wing doors. I love the gull wing doors. Those are so freaking cool looking.
Oh, well, then you want a BMW i8. They have gull wing doors and it's an electric car.
Let's see here. BMW what now?
i8.
i8.
I think
So
Those
you've
are not
had
gull wing
breakfast
doors.
already.
Those are not
They're
gull
not?
wing doors.
they're
No,
not.
no.
Oh, okay. I thought they were. I didn't recall.
They sort of they hinge on the the side of the windshield basically. No, it's got to go up from the roof like on the DeLorean.
You were talking about
Oh,
those
that's
doors.
right. That's right. They're the knife type door, not the gull.
Yeah, on one of our streams, you were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I just absolutely adore those, and I'm not sure I can explain it.
Now, the only thing I wondered about, since I've never actually seen one in person, is when they open up, how far out do they swing?
Well, that
'cause, like if
depends.
you're in a
Not-
parking
not-
lot, are they going to hit the car
It-
next to you?
That
No,
depends
not-
because
not
you
very
can
much.
open them in two different ways. And one of the ways it actually barely clears where the mirror would be.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Okay, so one way is to swing up. What's the other way?
Swing
the way,
forward.
the way
Oh, no, you're asking about just the DeLorean?
well, you said something about the door will open two ways.
Sorry, I thought we were discussing a different thing. Yeah, like the thing is that there's like two different hinges is the point. And one of them will open it wide and one of them won't.
Okay, then. Yeah, when I look at something like that, I'm thinking, oh my word, how long is it going to work correctly?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that was kind of a point of contention with the DeLorean. It is true, but like I've ridden in one, what was it, about 20 years ago, so it must have been about 20 years old. And while the steering wheel kind of squeaked a smidge, it seemed otherwise pretty all right.
Okay.
There's nothing inherently weak about a going door. It's got substantial hinges, just like a standard swing door.
Well,
They're
what
really
I'm
under no
wondering-
more stress than anything else.
Well, what I'm wondering about is the whole thing when you have two sets of hinges. And the whole mechanism to allow you to use one set or the other set. How often does that break?
It didn't seem very breakable, frankly. I
Okay.
mean, it seemed like an extraordinarily sturdy car. It just, like, apparently had other design flaws.
Well, as far as the body goes, being as it was steel instead of plastic and aluminum, I'm sure it probably was sturdier than most.
Heavy.
Well, by sturdy, I actually meant, like, not as breakable.
Yeah,
But-
well, that's what I mean. I would think
Well-
that the hinges and all the parts would just tend to be more durable.
Unfortunately, the exact opposite is true. DeLoreans were a basket case car. They were always broken. Never ran right. Never drove right. People hated them. That's why the company went down the tubes. Well, that and the cocaine problem.
But it's still the coolest car design I've ever seen.
They're gorgeous. No
Yeah.
doubt.
Sure.
My favorite going is the Mercedes 300. Oh fuck! I'm forgetting the number. Mercedes Gullwing is just what everybody knows it as. They're worth a million or so nowadays.
Well, I've got that in pocket change. I'll take two.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can buy an old school DeLorean for like 32 grand. If I'm ever rich, believe me, that'll be one of my first purchases.
That
I'd
much?
say-
That surprises the heck out of me.
Well, I mean, I guess they're considered vintage now or something.
Yeah, I would think just because of the collector value, I would have expected them to be considerably more.
I know there's a lot that goes along with it that I'd have to pay for and everything else, but yeah, if I had a couple million or something like that, I think I'd rather have a P-51
Yeah,
than an automobile.
Nah, you want an F-14 is what you want.
as far as the DeLorean, if you get on the O'Reilly Auto Parts website,
Mhm.
they list the flux capacitor. It's just always listed as out of stock.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Brilliant.
That was a nice little adventure, shall I say? Yeah, with you replacing the tire studs in the parking lot of the auto parts store.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
I wasn't having a problem with it. What the hell, man?
Well, I'm glad you were so cool with it, because I can imagine the same situation with my ex. She would have just gotten me so stressed up.
Hey,
Yeah.
A typical DeLorean that is in restored condition will get 40 to 45,000. An average DeLorean in typical consumer used condition, it will get you about 20. And if they're beat up, they'll get under 10.
What did they fetch when they were new?
I don't recall.
Okay.
80s, probably they were probably 20 to 30 tops.
But of course, that was 20 to 30,000.
According to this, approximately adjusted for 2019, it would have been 70,306 smackers.
That actually doesn't sound like much.
Well, it says here that originally in 1981, it was 25 grand.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Plus 650 extra when equipped with an automatic transmission.
Okay, then. Yeah,
Somehow I can't see somebody buying that car opting for an automatic. It just
That's
I
that's
would
kind of
have to. I have never been able to drive stick. Something about it breaks my brain and I can't do it.
I have forgotten how already. I was able to drive a stick in the late 70s, but trying to drive my ex's Colt when she had to have dental work done and she was in no position to drive home because of the anesthesia. Practicing the day before, I just couldn't do it.
Well, I mean, I guess part of it is just you have to be so precise with your timing, and I mean, I didn't really understand what was going on with the mechanism. It was just push clutch, push gas, push it, and I'm like, I didn't have enough context for any of the instructions to mean anything.
It's a little difficult to get started with it, but once you get used to it, it's like anything else with driving. It becomes very automatic.
I'd rather just have an automatic.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing about having a stick shift. It is the best anti-theft device you can have on any car.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, I don't know if the speed shift is easier to drive than the H. It would be interesting to find out.
Yeah, I learned how to drive a stick in 1972, and I haven't driven anything else since.
All right. I don't know. I know me. I'd probably, like, if there was an emergency situation, I really needed to shift right the hell now, I'd forget how to do it.
Well, there's lots of people who are not comfortable or good at driving a stick shift. There's nothing to be embarrassed about it at all. It's just not some people's cup of tea. No,
and especially now that they are no longer ubiquitous. I mean, at one time that's almost all you had.
Yeah.
But anymore, you're regarding automatic transmission as a standard feature now. Yeah.
Yeah. I found that the most difficult thing with the stick shift was timing the two pedals.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That you had to put on the gas at just the right rate as you were releasing the clutch so it didn't stall out or jerk.
It's too much precision needed when honestly my attention should be on something else.
Yeah, and
well, like I say, once you get used to it, you do it without thinking, and it's not taking your attention. But it takes a lot to get used to it. It's a learning curve.
And if you're brand new at it, you don't want to be on a hill. Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I went through that in the 80s with one of my exes that I had not driven a stick shift, in like 10, 12 years. And her car had one, and we were living on the side of a hill that in the time it took you to get your pedal off of the clutch and nearly to the gas, you would have rolled backwards into the river.
Oh, scheiße. Es ist scheißvoll. Amiga Nuts, hi, sweetness.
Amiga's been here since before we started.
Okay, I hadn't seen him. Yeah, let's see now.
It's been throwing out links for everybody.
About a half hour ago, and it's been about a half hour since I looked at the YouTube page.
Yep, he's even got a link up there for the transgendered chef.
Thank you, sweetie. What I'm going to have to do, I've been wanting to make gazpacho because I haven't made gazpacho in a long time, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can film it. That would be quick and easy.
If only they'd mentioned in basic training that gazpacho soup is meant to be served cold, I would have been an admiral by now.
Yeah.
On the, is that show I've heard of that every
Red
time
Dwarf.
they try to make bratwurst, they end up making tacos?
I don't think so,
No,
unless
no,
that's
I
in a
don't.
later season that I never saw.
No, I don't know the bratwurst reference.
No, this has nothing to do with Red Dwarf. This has to do with the transgender chef.
Oh,
And
Well,
if you keep that in mind, it's a pretty good joke, actually.
well, the gazpacho soup is meant to be served cold joke is from
Mhm.
Red Dwarf, so.
Yep.
It's been a very long time since I've had any, and yeah, it's like I keep meaning to do it, and I never get around to it. And well, remember, I don't know where I would put a to it. I mean, round or square or triangle or anything like that.
You just went there.
Yes, I did.
Is cereal just another form of soup?
No, soup is warm cereal.
That's the one that's been making the Twitter rounds. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, well, what about thin oatmeal?
What about it?
Well, it's a warm cereal. It's soupy. Where does that fit?
It's not soupy, it's goopy.
I think it's properly called gruel, isn't it?
Oatmeal would be cereal stew.
I don't know.
Okay.
I figured don't feed it to children then, because, cruelty to children is a crime.
Absolutely, it is. Yes. And don't feed it to dogs because many jurisdictions have legislation prohibiting cruelty to animals.
And
Yeah.
also, don't whiz on the electric fence.
Oh yeah. It's that Seals and Croft did that once, and they wrote that song as a result. I will never pass this way again.
I was actually thinking of the Ren and Stimpy song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nature's
absolutely.
calling, don't be stalling. Use your common sense before you let it flow. Find a place to go. Just don't whiz on the electric fence.
God, I'll tell you, Chris Pelosi was, crazy, sick, crazy. All those adjectives apply. And unfortunately, a couple of them applied in everyday life as well, but it's another story entirely.
Ren and Stimpy, I could never really deal with.
I mean, it was okay. The one I couldn't deal with was Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
I agree. I never liked Beavis and Butthead, but the Daria spinoff was good.
I never watched that, partly because, honestly, that just felt like the whole Gen X, nothing matters, it's the 90s, we're all grunge and counterculture, blah, 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 kind of stuff. It was just so monotone, from what I saw anyway.
It was good satire. It was very good at picking apart things that people take for granted.
Oh.
And especially, the whole superficial thing with her sister, that
Oh,
just
yes.
the people who are all about looks and fashion and no substance.
I must have missed that part. I just remember her and that friend of hers, what was her name, Jane?
Yeah.
I believe that was her name, yes.
Really all I remember about it.
Yep.
The one with the modified bowl cut for the hairstyle.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. And that, Daria's sister was basically a Debbie, reference to the oblongs.
Huh?
Yeah.
The Oblongs was a wonderful satirical animated cartoon. The Debbies were the very privileged rich girls who lived up on the hill, whereas all the poor folk, the have-nots, lived in the sewage and radioactive waste down in the valley.
Like you do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've never heard of it until just now. I was right now years old when I learned this exists.
Okay.
Are Debbie's like Karen's in training, or?
Oh, they were not overtly Karenish. They were rather Southern in their Karenism, if you will. Slightly, oh, bless her heart, or bless her dear heart, that sort of thing. And they were walking Barbie dolls.
Yeah, they not openly confrontational, but always condescending.
Yes.
You know, it's gotta really, really suck right now if your name actually is Karen.
Yeah, and it's kind of like haven't liked using that term because of that, because somebody who was stuck with the moniker long before it got that meaning.
Yeah. But, well, what you gonna do? It's not like you can put that genie back in the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, yeah, I've been thinking Barbara Eden, but that's another story entirely.
Barbara Eden.
I've never watched that show.
Why does that make you think of Barbara Eden?
I Dream of
Jeannie.
Yeah, but that's not Karen.
Yes, but you can't put the Karen
Genie. Okay, yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, that was just over my head for a moment there.
Yeah. I think it's a bit to the side, actually. I mean, you were able to get it. It just, well, you were distracted.
Oh, push it.
It ran past me and slapped me as it went.
Yes. Yeah, whack in the arse. What is that you're eating anyway? Did you mention or what?
Oh, it's just this terrible thing I'm having for lunch.
It looks a little bit like potato salad.
It's leftover potato salad, yeah.
Oh, well, I had it right.
It's about 3-4 days old, so I have to eat it now. Or
I better eat it now before it goes. Yeah.
No, I can't afford to throw food out.
And I haven't made potatoes.
Even bad food.
There you go. And it's been so long since I've made potato salad.
People always talk about leftovers. So does that imply that when you first get it fresh, it's right under?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right under your nose and ready to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a potato salad I've made that, well, Kate, you would absolutely hate it because vinegar is one of the ingredients, and you can taste the vinegar in there. It's a Pennsylvania German type potato salad recipe.
Of course it is.
Yeah, I could see that as being a German or Polish thing.
I like potato salad, and I don't like German potato salad. Yuck. I'm with you, Kate.
Well, I just don't like potato salad at all.
But this has little bits of bacon and stuff.
And
bacon makes everything better.
Yes, but it doesn't make everything good, unfortunately.
Oh, shit.
Well, there are some places where you have...
I've heard. That's really good.
There are some places where you have to ask, did the bacon make it better, or did you just waste the bacon?
Yeah, you got a point there.
I've had bacon popcorn. It's pretty good.
That does
I've never
sound
had any. It sounds like it'd be interesting, though.
I'd eat it.
Yeah, last Christmas, my sister gave everybody these just weird flavored soda pops, and one of them was bacon flavored.
Well, I threw them out because I was never going to finish them, but I had some bacon candy canes not too long ago, and they are really gross. I mean, disgustipating. Also, if you watch the recording of the stream I did last night, you'll see me tasting a whole bunch of different wacky flavors.
I was just about to shout you out on that one, and oh my word, the look on your face when you tried the dirt and the grass flavored.
No, I didn't actually see the look on my face. I just remember that they tasted funky.
Were those surprise jelly beans?
They were sodas, carbonated soda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Jelly Belly company did a thing from the Harry Potter about the every flavored beans, and
those weren't bad, but the sodas, most of them were like really icky.
Well, they did make a vomit flavored jelly bean. And
Okay,
the people who got stuck eating it says, yeah, that's pretty much correct.
Now, I do remember that you did like the key lime.
Well, yeah, but I like lime in general, so that wasn't a surprise.
The Stewart's brand puts out a good key lime soda.
Ooh, I love key lime.
I've never had the Stewart's key lime. Around here, it's really bad. You don't get all of the Stewart's flavors, unless it's the case that some of them aren't out there anymore. I cannot find the Stewart's spicy ginger ale anymore. Did they quit making it?
No, that's their best one. I have found that grocery stores tend to not stock much of them. That it has been, going to the larger liquor stores is where I've, found the best variety of the Stewart's.
Okay, because the local beer store does not carry any mixers. I've checked. Well,
we've got in Minnesota, we've got like MGM Liquor, which is a liquor store that is larger than a lot of neighborhood supermarkets.
Really?
Oh, okay. It sounds like the one liquor store or beer store, I forget which, in Belarus. There's a channel I watch, a Brit who goes touring around the former Eastern Bloc, and he spent a good time in the Balkan states. And yet there was I think it was a beer store, or it might have been a liquor store, where you could have parked a couple 747s.
Yeah, well, that's MGM's a chain here, and some of their stores have like 10, 12 aisles.
Well, one of the biggest problems I'm having here with my supermarket and sodas is you can't buy just one of anything. You have to buy at least a 6-pack. So if there's some weird novelty flavor that comes out, like that orange Coke they had not too long ago, which wasn't terrible, it doesn't matter. You have to buy a ton of them, so you can't try it first to make sure you like it.
Yeah.
Unless they happen to be 6-packs made up of bottles where you could just switch what you want and they'll tell them.
But I still only wanted one.
Well, and that's what I found in the liquor store, that they would let me switch them around, and I could, get like 6 different flavors, or just get 3 of the ginger ale and 3 other things.
But I only wanted one.
Well, but you can have the other flavors.
But I don't want the others. I don't want to have that much
That was
sugar.
the idea that you...
I don't want that much sugar in my place is the point.
Oh. Yeah, the idea was just to kind of get a sampler pack to find out which ones you'd like to have.
If you don't want that much sugar in your house, then you drink it all in one sitting, and it's gone first time you pee.
But it's not gone; it's still inside me.
Well, that's unavoidable.
Well, this is my point. I want to buy just one can or bottle. That's it. And when I say bottle, I don't mean a 2-liter.
There you go. Yeah, the same here. It's really, really, really difficult to get one bottle of pop or
soda.
One thing I remember is many, many moons ago, the old man used to sell single bottles of beer, which
on the wall.
Pretty much, yeah. He'd have 100 of them, and you'd take it down and pass it around. Well, whoever it was paying for it, and okay. I think in those days a bottle of beer cost 16 cents or something like that. So this was a while ago.
Well, yeah, but the question is, what percentage of your week's pay was that?
Yeah, right, definitely. Because you'd be making, I don't know, maybe $40 a week if you were doing pretty well.
Yeah. I don't go back quite that far, but yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. One place I lived in, I lived there for 15 years. I liked it so much. The landlord was a pretty nice guy too. And unfortunately he sold the place, but this was one of those apartments my ex and I were, just looking around one day, and we were thinking, back in the day, this was a $25 apartment. And then, back in the day meant, like 1928. These were really, really nice 2-bedroom apartments. 2 bedrooms, dining room, kitchen was pretty nice. Decent living room. The heat was from a boiler. Boy, the boilers were efficient. Wow. It would be the middle of January, and you'd have to have the windows open.
2 hours of pushing broom buys a 6x8 4-bit room.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No, but my word, you had to have the windows open, because if you didn't open the windows, it would be 90 degrees Fahrenheit in there in the middle of January.
Yep.
And there was no way that you could control the heat, because the boiler took care of the entire building.
Yeah, I had a friend who lived in what they called an apartment in Minneapolis. It was like a renovated hotel from like the 1930s.
Ooh.
And literally the room was so small that you could not open the door without hitting the bed.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why, but when you said hotel from the 1930s, the first thing that popped into my head was it built on an Indian burial ground?
Yeah, maybe. No, I stayed at a hotel like that in Toronto. And then another one around Conneaut Lake Park here in Pennsylvania. It was called the Hotel Conneaut. 4-poster bed, the whole thing like this, but God, the rooms were tiny.
Oh, come on. Really? America's Test Kitchen is on, and they're making what I think they would call a pizza. They make their fresh dough, great. They put it out in a tray, yeah, great. And then they put on tomato sauce, some oil, and they bake it. Now they've taken it out and they have covered the thing thick with arugula and mozzarella, and that's it. They don't cook it any further. So you're eating raw arugula and mozzarella cheese as a pizza? Come on.
I'm not sure I've ever actually had arugula, but I do love mozzarella.
Yeah, but the mozzarella needs to be melted.
Yeah, I'm not all that keen on mozzarella right out of the canvas. The texture,
yeah,
loses a little something.
Yeah, mozzarella really is for cooking. I don't really eat that one straight.
Yeah,
and for cheese sticks.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's good for cheese sticks.
Oh my! Okay, so wait a minute. You're speaking of arugula. You're speaking of the plant.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's another brassica, for Christ's sake. How many edible plants are there that are not brassicas? That's what I want to know.
Well, what pops into my head every time I hear someone say arugula, and I know this is horrible, is arugula, Jamaica. Ooh, I don't know why. Every time, I can't help it.
I hear that too. Yes, you're correct.
I know you're going there. Yep.
I mean, like, I wish that was just me trying to make a stupid pun, but that literally, no joke, goes through my head every time.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and every time you say Jamaica, I jump to Pokemon, so.
Why?
Isn't a Pokemon a very slow Jamaican gentleman?
Chihuahua, I'm going to find you and I'm going to hurt you and you won't enjoy it.
Oh, I get it. Pokemon. That's
well.
That joke
Kate,
makes me look clever.
I'll hold them down for you. Okay.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, it was so bad I completely killed the conversation.
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah, it happens.
Or
What time is it here? 13:44. I have to.
howdy
I have
doody
to.
time.
I have to go at 2:00. My favorite TV show is on, and it's the last 3 episodes before its finale, and I absolutely have to watch it because I'm in love with it and everyone on it.
Well,
you have
spoiler
16
alert, it
minutes
turns
and
out
30
that Luke's
seconds.
father is Darth Vader.
Yeah.
No, there's no lasers in this or anything.
Okay, quit being cryptic. What show are you talking about?
It's 800 words. It's Australian production, and it's a very gentle, loving show.
So what's
Okay.
think it's wonderful. Huh?
What's the appeal?
It's a very gentle, loving show.
Right. What's the appeal of that?
I like gentle, loving things.
But it's so much more fun when people are murdering each other with lasers.
Yes.
Not always. I mean, I appreciate that too, but
Not if you happen to be
like-
one of the people screaming in terror and fleeing.
yeah, I like gentle, loving,
You're doing it, not when anyone's doing it to you.
kind, sweet relationships, kind of stories and drama things. And,
They have that. I mean, in The Empire Strikes Back, at one point, Luke's sister kisses him. That was awfully tender.
yeah, they were pretty hot there. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you have to wonder
that-
what it would have done to their relationship if they'd gone further before they found out.
And that big,
Oh,
and
my
that big
word.
wormy thing
One
is,
of them would have had to learn to play a banjo.
and that big wormy thing is every girl's dream.
And
I'm
not
trying
every
to think about this here, and haven't there been a couple Jerry Springer episodes about just that?
Sorry,
What a big
about-
wormy! Oh, big wormy thing.
I assume you mean incest.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking of is I'm trying to remember if there have been any shows featuring people who got together, et cetera, and then found out once they were together that they were actually siblings separated at birth.
I don't know. It probably can't happen that often.
Yeah, well,
I'm
with
gonna
Jerry
give you that-
Springer, a lot of that stuff was staged, so I don't know
of
that.
course,
But
yeah.
I'm sure that the fights were staged, where someone just flies into a rage over something.
Okay, yeah.
well, there
Like,
was a dead
I would
giveaway
bet
to
money-
that.
I would bet a lot of money that those were staged, that they were told by the producers, okay, at some point you have to try to beat someone up.
There was a dead giveaway in Jerry Springer that the fights were staged because if you watch the credits, it listed a choreographer.
Uh-huh.
There was one fight in this series in the 3 years it ran. There was one fist fight, and it was on the street, and it was between 2 friends.
Ah,
They made up afterwards though.
Okay, let's see if the thing I just animated actually works.
Alrighty.
Sorry, I am working on some animation stuff while we chat, but it's simple, mindless stuff, so it's not like my attention's too divided.
It's always nice to be able to multitask. I never did master that.
sometimes I can do it, but my problem is then when one thing really gets my attention, I start to hyper-focus and I forget I was doing something else.
Oh, yeah, like when you're doing something at the computer or whatever, and you forget that you've got a pan full of something frying over on the stove, right?
Yeah, actually, I've scorched a few pans that way.
I burnt an entire pot of beans once doing that.
Ow!
Oh yeah, that pot was toast.
I did that to some fish sticks a couple of years ago.
Mm.
I tell you, they looked like charcoal briquettes when I took them out of the oven.
I remember a while back, like my ex and I got distracted while we were cooking ramen noodles. And if you overcook ramen noodles, you don't just get like overcooked noodles, you get sludge.
Yep.
I mean,
Yes, yes.
It's like, you're always talking about that Life cereal mush you like. Imagine that ramen noodle style.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. Gotta be,
Yeah, that's pretty yucky.
It is.
Or like rice noodles. Oh, I do not like. I like eating them. I don't like trying to cook them because I fuck them up so badly, and they just turn into a big lump of stuff.
I don't know. Can you put them in a strainer and hold them over steam and cook them that way?
Those super thin ones, that are like just pencil lead thick, or smaller. Yeah, those you can just dunk in hot water and they're done. And those are okay.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like some of the rice noodles that you'd find in like what do you call that shit? Lo mein recipes and things like that.
Okay.
Well, there are a couple like that where the big problem with cooking them is that they go everywhere. Like they snap so easily and they just go flat. And woe betide the one who tries to put them back in the package if you didn't cook them all at once. It just, your entire countertop will look like I don't know, someone froze their hair and broke it off in tiny strands and left it all over your counter.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's one reason that I keep one of those glass jars around, and open the noodles, dump the entire thing into the glass jar, and then portion them out.
Yep, that's what I do too. I actually put all my dry goods, any kind of beans, split peas, any of that stuff, lentils, go into a glass jar.
Yep.
You're going to have no vermin getting through a glass jar.
What I've got to do is get my arse somewhere. I looked at IKEA; they don't have them anymore. Damn it! And get a few more glass jars because I've got all of mine filled with various things, and I still have some navy beans and black beans that are not yet in a jar. Well, I need to make black bean soup.
I collected my own glass jars. There's a product, what Russell's, I think it is. Just a big jar. It's like over a quart and a half of baked Great Northern beans, or I should say cooked Great Northern beans. And I'll buy one of those and I'll parse it out into Tupperwares or something like that and freeze them, use them later.
Okay.
But then you get this big fucking jar that can take 1 or 2 bags of dried beans or stuff like that.
I'm thinking that your apartments must be quite fragrant.
No, you don't smell anything through the glass jar.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're eating that much in terms of beans,
well, you don't have them every day.
Well,
and if you're mixing beans with rice and you're getting off the sugars first before you actually cook them and eat them, you reduce that flatulence a great deal.
Yeah, with the dried beans, if you soak them overnight, or especially if you wait until they just barely start to sprout, then that uses up most of the sugars and you don't have the gas problem.
Mm-hmm.
You guys just can't let a good joke go by, can you?
Nope, not at all.
Beans, musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot.
Sorry, I overanalyze everything.
Bullshit. No,
half the time I'm overanalyzing it before I realize it was supposed to be a joke. So
I used to stock up on Chase and Sanborn instant coffee because what I would do is I would be buying a jar with free coffee inside, and I'd have a shitload of those jars and used to keep them around for storing stuff and everything else. And I basically held my nose and drank the instant coffee, but the last of those jars broke quite a few years ago, and they're in the small size. So, but
well, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No,
slowly.
Right there, I was done when I said, "Yeah, what can I tell you?"
Well, like sometimes I wonder if, like the fresh ground coffee versus instant coffee is one of those ones where my tastes are just plain flipped, where I actually prefer instant coffee just as for some reason I do.
I can relate to that. I have instant coffee today. I had it this morning, had it yesterday, we'll have it tomorrow. And I don't make pots of coffee anymore.
What I liked doing was the fresh ground coffee. I'd buy a bag of beans and grind the beans as I needed them. That was really nice. I just don't have a grinder anymore, and I suppose maybe one day I'll get one and I can go back to that stuff. But
Well, if you want to buy one, I understand there's a whole website called Grinder.
yeah, that'd be the place to go. It's a little.
Oh yeah, is there a grinder for old people?
Probably.
God, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Oh my word! But yeah, what can I?
That's a horrible idea for a horror movie about like a killer granny called Dentures of Death. Horrible idea, but you know, someone should make it anyway.
There are many reasons, Kate, and this is but one of them.
Many reasons for what?
I don't know. I think you're
Titty
definitely
wrinkles.
stretching the definition of reason here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for that 98-ton crush I've got on you that everybody, nobody knows about that.
Never heard of it. No,
Yeah,
this is
pretty
new to me. It's the first that's ever come up in the entire time I've known you.
Oh my. Yeah, you can blame godless Iowan for all that.
Who I don't speak to anymore.
Well, yeah.
Not my choosing. I thought that godless Iowan was just fine, but apparently me not siding with Essence of Thought was a bridge too far.
That's when he quit talking to me. Yep.
Yeah, I ran into that too. That Snarky was the first person to ever block me.
Yeah, she still has me blocked.
And there's someone else I could name who apparently really doesn't like me enough where if we're ever in the same stream together, they'll leave.
I can think of one, but
yeah,
is that who you're thinking of?
I don't know if it's the same one we're talking about. How would I know?
Easy am I not to knowing for 2 and 2.
Well, you can always type it in the private chat, and it's just between the three of us. But
yeah, I think we'll have to name names and there.
Yep, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah. Taking a bit of an irrational dislike, I'd say.
I say it's rather unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, there was a time once where someone at my board game group had taken a dislike to me. Of course, we found out later that he was completely fucking insane, this guy. Like, literally insane. But like at one point I sat down at a table to play a game with some other folks because we had just finished our game and we wanted to start another one. And he was like, I don't like you, go away. And I was like, dude, I'm going to play a game with my friends here. If my presence is so intolerable to you, well, you can get up and leave. I don't have a problem with you. The problem is going in exactly one direction. So, and I basically said as much the last time this certain someone took off because I was there.
Yeah, it makes me sad, that sort of thing. But I suppose if that's what a person has to do to get by, then that's what that person has to do to get by. I mean, I know of several cases of that sort of thing over the years that I have been breathing oxygen. So
I have to admit, the more cruel and spiteful part of my personality wants to try to get into every live stream just so it's either get over it or never be in a live stream again. Now, I realize that's mean and I shouldn't do it, but like I said, that's my darker, less tolerant impulse.
Oh, Well, I love you anyway.
I'm just saying, I do have a dark streak, and there's no denying it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I won't argue with you, but it's part of what makes you you, and it's what can I tell you?
Well, I'm sure you could tell me a lot of things. I'm not sure they'd all be valuable. I'll just be over here.
Oh boy,
it's good that you can take those in the spirit they're meant. I know some people who would be so offended by that, like personally slighted by that, and you're just like, oh, I know Kate's joking.
I'm easy. I tell
That's a
people.
separate issue.
Well, that too. I'm by no means cheap, but I am easy. Yeah.
There you go.
And
I just had a horrible. I'm picturing like this horrible porno about a girl who gets pregnant called "Eggs Over Easy."
Oh.
Well,
Oh Lord, God! You talk about braiding your leg here. I've got to get a blowtorch. Take care of mine.
Yeah, insanity's not a bad thing.
Well, it depends on the kind of insanity. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jeffrey Dahmer was the wrong kind of insane.
I had a roommate at one time who was bordering on the wrong kind of insane. Yeah. He was a raging schizophrenic, and you never quite knew
who was coming to dinner.
Pretty much, and what would set him off and when and all that stuff. Yeah. And it was just unfortunate that I didn't have a choice. I was in that 3/4 house at the time, and you had the roommates, they assigned you, and they assigned me all the crazies because they knew that I was accommodating.
Oh.
Yeah, I would not go through the ceiling the way a lot of their clients did. So I just basically got out of there as soon as I could.
I only have so much tolerance for that sort of thing. Oh, hey, what are you doing, Stu? How you doing?
Sweetie.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
It was good having you on the stream last night, by the way.
Yeah, that was a nice little thing going there.
You enjoyed it so much, you got rather moist, didn't you?
Yes, I was moist.
Shut up, Clarion.
It was sultry.
Oh, my.
And that's precisely why I hate that word moist.
Why? Why?
Well, because it does seem that it should always be a sexual reference, and just the way people throw it around is not.
See, I tend to think of things like cookies and other baked goods.
Okay. Yeah, like Duncan Hines cake batter.
Yes, exactly. We were both on the Duncan Hines. Yeah, Duncan Hines and all that stuff. That's where my brain goes when someone says moist.
Not when you're saying it in that term and tone, it isn't.
Yeah, but if you don't say it that way, it's not as fun.
And then there's this kitty over here who is not moist. Happily.
Kitties are usually unhappy that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh my.
Although most men like a moist pussy, so.
Oh my.
There, it's gone full circle. Now we're done with it. We can move on.
Who's moving on?
I am moist with anticipation.
Yeah.
I don't know. A little while back, I heard a quote from like a movie or something. I don't know what it was, where someone said, "Don't you look at me in that tone of voice." And it's a long time, and I love saying it.
That's one I need to write down.
Yeah. I've used it to good effect on occasion.
Yeah, there are the facial expression. Let's try this again. There are the facial expressions that you can actually hear. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it helps, I guess, at least a little bit that I have a tendency to be a bit on the rubber-faced side on occasion.
Okay.
Well, okay, I don't have my camera up right now because, appearance deficit. My hair looks like garbage. But, stop that. But when I'm looking at myself on camera like that, I have a tendency to make a lot of faces, like if I'm looking in a mirror kind of faces, like weird grins and grimaces and all of that. It's like I can't even help it. It's just an automatic thing.
Stop that. You know your face is going to freeze that way, right?
Yeah, and you'll shoot your eye out.
Yes.
That's about my biggest problem with the social interactions, is that I somehow never learned to read facial expressions or body languages. I just completely miss the cues.
That's got to really get in the way.
It does make it very difficult. It's, a lot of my social anxiety is because I don't get when people are implying things. You have to be blunt.
I don't know. I usually don't like when people are implying things just because the way my brain works, or doesn't, I will see so many possible things they could mean that I just sort of freeze up and go, were they kidding or were they serious, or did they mean this definition of the word or that definition of the word? I can't help it. It's just my brain goes down so many rabbit holes.
Yep.
See, and I go the opposite. I tend to take it at the literal face value, and it's not until a couple minutes later that I realize that might not be how they meant it.
Yeah, I did have a little bit of a difficulty talking with Godless Iowan because he's another one that didn't read facial expressions, etc., that well, or get the implications. You couldn't do one of the things I do so often is imply with a tone something other than that which the words said.
Yeah. Well, he's also on the autistic spectrum.
Yes.
He's talked about that.
That's something I wonder about sometimes. I should try to get diagnosed because honestly, I took a bunch of online quizzes, a lot of them, and usually came up 1 or 2 percentage points below being considered autistic or having Asperger's or whatever. And I was like, okay, but this is a consistent result across every test. And I know that internet tests for that kind of thing aren't reliable, shouldn't be considered reliable, but still, if they're all agreeing with each other, maybe I should talk to my doctor.
The internet tests are generally a good starting point, and then you need to bring it to a professional to see if they agree with the results.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure, would it change my life in any measurable way to realize, oh yeah, you're kind of autistic. Okay, now what? You're kind of autistic. Okay, but now you're kind of okay, but now what?
Well, it depends. If you're borderline, probably not much. For me, it helped explain a lot of things that I didn't get before. Not just to me, but I started with an internet quiz and I showed the results to everyone who had known me over 2 years. And the universal response was, oh, that explains a lot.
Well, that's the thing is when I was thinking about it for me, that explains a lot was the first thing I thought about myself.
Okay. So I guess, you how do you want to put it? Talk to your healthcare professional and ask about fuck it all brand anti whatever. Yeah.
And have your pets spayed and neutered.
Oh, God. There you go.
Well, I mean, it seemed, I don't know.
Yeah, I almost missed that Bob Barker line at the end of Price is Right.
I haven't watched The Price is Right since like, I don't even know. But Bob Barker was definitely still the host.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes,
And I it's weird because I always thought Rod Roddy was his announcer like for the whole run, but it turns out he's had like several of them.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to remember here. I think Gary Owen was his announcer for a while, wasn't he? The guy who did the Laugh In announcing.
Mm.
And who was the one that everybody? I mean, Carlin would do routines about him. Don Pardo. There
Oh, okay. I thought he
Yeah.
was a sports announcer, but okay.
Yeah, because he used to Pardo used to announce a lot of game shows and stuff like that, and unmistakable voice and everything. I remember Price is Right. Gods, I'm trying to remember. Was it Bill Cullen that hosted it?
What? I thought it was always Bob Barker.
Oh, Price is Right is very old.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I mean, like now, what is it? Drew Carey, I think.
Yeah, I know Drew Carey was doing it. I don't know if he's still doing it.
Hmm.
Okay, The Price is Right. Yeah, Bill Cullen was the show's original host. That incarnation ran 56 to 65.
Oh, my brain is going through so many weird little rabbit holey things. Every time you said what was it you said, incarnation, I think it was, and my brain goes, incarnation, instant breakfast, you're gonna love it in an instant, every time. And you've said it a lot.
Oh my, yeah, I do kind of do that sort of thing.
It probably doesn't help that Stool came in with the name Powdered Milk, but
Yeah.
Well, the
Which
first
is
thing
actually making me think of Powdered Toast Man, but that's
yeah, great minds think alike, because that's what I
I had completely forgotten about that. And
different.
this is why I wonder if I really want to let you in the chat. Because you remind me of these things that somehow I had blissfully taken out of my mind.
Well,
Powdered milk is lovely. It's the best thing in the world.
the best
I
thing
stand
in
by
the world.
this.
The very
Yeah.
best.
What's powdered? What is powdered
Nothing
toast?
Better.
What's powdered toast?
It's not a thing. It's from Ren and Stimpy.
No.
Oh, okay.
Powdered toast is toast that's sprinkled with a mix of cinnamon and sugar.
Well,
I
I
think
thought
you're
the powdered
telling
toast
lies.
was you toasted the bread and then used the knife to scrape off some of the toasted carbohydrates. No.
No, I've always known it to be cinnamon sugar toast.
You know, if they're really big, they're truckbohydrates.
Yes, absolutely, they are.
Anyway, I dropped a link in the side chat if anybody wants to check out. There was a robot chicken routine about what Bob Barker did when he left the show.
Well, I remember there was like a bunch of scandals or something where he had like slept with one of the bimbos or whatever you want to call them.
I'm not surprised.
Or whatever. I mean, what are they called officially?
I'm not sure if they had a
show, I'm
name.
sure there's some like rabid and screaming.
Well, for a while,
feminist who is shouting, "Oh my gosh, they're women! Call them women!" I'm like, yes, but their role on the show was what? I don't know.
For a while, they called them prize girls, and people objected to that one.
Of course they did.
Yeah, because it sounded so much like a trophy or what. Yeah.
Well, people object to the weirdest shit. I mean,
but
that sounds
literally
like
their job was to sit there and point at the prizes.
Yeah.
I remember in How I Met Your Mother, Robin, one of the characters, she auditioned for a game show, which was basically just flipping a coin. And so everyone told her, you're auditioning to be a coin flip bimbo. And she goes, it's officially a currency rotation specialist.
Oh my! I'm trying to remember what Vanna White's job description was. Did she have a title?
No. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. That's
Well,
what do
actually,
you call somebody who turns letters for a living?
there's a way to find out. I bet it just says herself, but Wheel of Fortune is, yes, that. I clicked. Come on, grind, grind, grind. All the other internets are going faster. Come on. Naturally, when I'm trying to find something out, IMDb stalls.
Are there gooses migrating over your head by any chance?
I think those are seagulls.
Oh, okay, fine.
Wheel of Fortune. Okay, here we go. Vanna White, hostess.
Okay.
That's all it says is hostess.
Yeah, we get a surprising number of seagulls here in Pittsburgh. Well, of course, we do have the rivers, and this is directly beneath the North Atlantic Flyway. Big migration route. I never saw as many birds as I saw when I came out here. Yeah, Greg remembers when the price of a washing machine was $100, and that was a heck of $100. Let me tell you.
Okay, here we go. Vanna White. I wonder if she's ever been anything other than Wheel of Fortune.
I don't know offhand.
I really don't.
Wow.
think so.
Okay, she was apparently in 1978. She was a contestant for Miss Georgia USA.
Mhm.
You know, as opposed to Miss Georgia Russia.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Actually, there's also a Georgia in Vermont, of all places.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow, she was on. Well, okay, she played herself on Simon and Simon.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting on IMDb. You'd probably find a number of shows where she did a cameo as herself, but that's about it.
Wow, apparently she played a character named Roxanne on the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Oh,
And a character on Captain Planet and the Planeteers. Apparently she was in Married with Children. I'm going to have to watch that again because I do have that on disc. I think it's streaming. I want to find out what episode that is. She was pretty much playing herself in almost everything else. Almost. There's some TV movie called Midnight Offerings where she plays Devana or something. It's about summoning the devil. It looks like.
Okay, fine. Devil was played by Pat Sajak.
I don't think so, but okay. Well, regardless, she's not playing the letter rotation specialist in that.
Okay. Oh my.
See, oh, well, she's been in a lot of horror movies. There's one called Graduation Day, where a masked killer begins murdering students on the school track team after a track runner dies upon completion of a 30-second 200-meter race. And she was in that before she was on Wheel of Fortune, playing a character named Doris, of all things.
Okay.
And I don't see anyone else even remotely famous in this movie at all.
you know, I actually thought it was kind of sad when Wheel of Fortune automated to the electronic thing and she didn't actually even turn the letters anymore.
Where she just like pushed on it with a touch screen or something.
Yeah.
It was probably not even controlled by her in any way.
Yeah, it's more like she was just pointing at it when it lit up. That was all.
Well, I remember when you didn't get cash on that game show. You know, you picked from.
Oh, yeah, there was the prize room.
And then whatever was left over, you know, I think it had to be less than $100 or less than the cheapest price there. I'm not sure which, but you got that on a gift certificate. You didn't even get that in cash.
Hmm.
Although one thing I've heard about The Price is Right is that when you win, they give you the option to have the item that you won or its value.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like you can just take the money and you don't have to have the refrigerator or whatever.
Yeah, that actually got pushed as a law in a number of states that when they were giving away prizes, they had to give you the option of the cash value.
That
Goodness
would
knows I'd rather have the cash than the lifetime supply of rice-a-roni.
Yeah.
Yes, and that would make things easier when it comes tax time.
Well,
Because
and things
you
like
do need
that.
to pay income tax on the value of all that shit.
Yeah, well, that's why several states pushed that through, because there were too many instances of people like winning a car or something and not being able to afford to pay the taxes on it.
Yes, I heard a talk by somebody who was on a different game show. I believe it was Joker's Wild, who was describing what he had to do to come up with the money for the income tax. He had to sell some of the things he received. He had to talk the studio into somehow giving him the cash value. And this was before the legislation that required you to
Yep.
have the option. It was an interesting talk. It really was.
One thing I heard about is if you win the lottery, like you hit mega bucks, and all of a sudden you're a 37 bajillionaire, apparently they give you the option of taking all of the money at once, but for a lesser amount,
Right.
or getting a stipend that's paid over a bunch of years. And honestly,
Right.
I would take the stipend just because so many people, like I've heard about folks who won the lottery and then spent themselves into bankruptcy and it ruined their life.
Oh,
Yeah.
there are too many of
Well,
those.
the lottery prizes are calculated on the idea of you taking a payout like over 20 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
So if
And-
you ask for the money up front, you actually only get about half of that.
And honestly, though, I mean, I would rather have a small income coming in over time. It would just, it would keep me, see, I'm trying to think of what the word is, responsible. I was going to say honest, but that didn't make sense. But yes, responsible.
And then, of course, what the lotteries are hoping for is somebody like me hitting the jackpot and then taking the rents every month, the payments, and dying before you get all of it. Because if I remember correctly, if you're receiving those annual payments and you die, the rest is the lotteries.
So you can't inherit, like your kids can't get your money.
If
No,
I
not
remember
if you're taking
correctly.
the stipend, only if you take the lump sum.
Yeah,
That kind of stinks.
it
Yep.
does. Yeah, what you get in the lump sum is what do they call it? The present value of the annuity. So they're assuming you're going to get that's that much you're getting, and you would get an interest rate on it. So 20 years later, you'd have the advertised prize value.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically figured on the same formula as government bonds.
Yes, yes. Oh, I still wouldn't mind being the single winner on one of those cajillion lotteries. I mean, what little I got, I could settle my debts and I could live pretty well.
Well, I would live so well because I'm actually doing pretty all right already.
I mean, I would do pretty well because I tell you the absolute truth, I don't require that much anymore.
Yeah. I used to be a lot more materialistic than I am now.
Yes. Yeah, when I was 30 years old, no, it wouldn't have gone as far as it might now. I really don't need that much. I need comfortable place to live, enough to eat, warmth in winter, cool in summer. I wouldn't mind a little swimming pool in the backyard, but I don't absolutely require one of those.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want a swimming pool. The constant maintenance required isn't worth the hassle.
That is something I've thought about. for me to get a pool, I'd have to be the I can hire someone to do this level of rich.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have maintained an above-ground swimming pool. The Slimy Bastards actually bought one, and I actually helped put it in. They had it for quite a few years, 10,000 gallon. Wasn't that bad to maintain, but you did notice the maintenance that went into it.
Well, of the things that I do still want, where like materialism becomes a factor in my world, there is a weird gap between the small ticket items and the high ticket items. Like, I wanted that Nintendo Switch that I'm getting. And that was a small ticket item. That was like 300 smackers. I would also like to make a movie where suddenly the gap is a couple of $100 million that I would that. So it's like there's no real in between. There's nothing I want where it's like this is $100 grand. No, it's either this is $300 or $300 million.
Okay, so you can't do what Kevin Smith did anymore, huh? Where you max out all your credit cards buying the film stock, and you do it yourself.
I have to admit, I would really like it if this animation that I'm working on leads to something bigger. If someone somewhere sees it and goes, holy shit, and just one person did this, we need to make a cartoon show out of it. I would love that. I'm not holding my breath, but I'd love it. And that's about as close as I'll probably ever get to what Kevin Smith did.
Okay.
I still think you should send some shorts into Adult Swim that they might use as bumpers.
Why on earth would they want my shorts?
Great minds think alike.
Well, okay, I could answer that too, but you don't want me to go there.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, I haven't ever watched Adult Swim. I haven't had access to television in a very long time because all of my TVs are either used as computer monitors or Blu-ray player or whatever. I don't have cable, is what I'm trying to say. So does Adult Swim just play shorts by anyone who sends one in?
Well, I don't know how they go about it. I just know that they've got a lot of weird animated shorts as bumpers before the commercials.
Yes.
So I don't know where they get them from, but particularly the one you had of Sandra in the mecha attacking the city, that just really looked very much in the flavor of things they run.
I would love to do that, but I suspect they have a team that does it for them, that they don't just buy it from people.
Is am I not annoying?
Yeah, I don't really know, but it seems that it can't hurt to send it in, because even if they have a team, if they like it, it's something that maybe they would hire you to do a couple.
I suppose that's possible. I don't know. I'd love to. My dad actually he has been an avid biker for a very long time, by which I mean cycling, not motorcycles. And apparently on one of his bike trips, he met some dude who works for a big studio or something, and he is going to send the guy links to a lot of my animations. So who knows? I don't know if anything will come of that. Again, this is what I look like when I'm not holding my breath, but it's out there. Mm-hmm. So, it could lead to bigger and better things too.
Hey,
I'm guessing when you are holding your breath, you start looking like a Smurf.
Possibly.
Yeah, there you go.
The hat does not fit very well. Well, they do wear hats.
Yes, they does. Yes.
Stool is being unusually quiet today.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm drinking my milk.
Unmuted his dumb butt.
I'm drinking my milk.
Your powdered
Don't
milk.
pick on me.
I'm not picking on you.
No, we're not picking on you. We're just wondering because it seemed a little out of character. So I was afraid that maybe you weren't feeling well, actually.
Yeah, we can't have that.
No, I'm good. My head's a bit in a bit of a bad mood because I just received a text that was not good. Nobody's died or anything, but
yeah,
a money thing that's kind of
stressing you up a bit.
Yeah, you know how it is.
Yep.
Beef.
I don't know if the money is the root of all evil, but it is the cause of most stress.
Mm. Well,
What is
that
it?
and not
So-
being able to get past that darn level on that game. What? It causes me stress. Shut up, man.
I don't know. If you get that stressed out about not getting over the level in the game, you just go burn down the company and it's over with.
There you
Well, possibly, but still.
No, I'm trying to decide. Do I want to do it today or do I want to do it tomorrow?
Okay,
I
cannot understand you over Stool bumping his microphone around.
Oh, nothing is going right today. Fucking
I
hell.
don't know. Or what is that one joke? You have something or other, a note at the bank and a girlfriend all late. But I'm trying to decide what I want to do here. I've still got enough chocolate milk for a bowl of Life cereal, and I'm trying to decide, okay, do I want my Life cereal with chocolate milk today or tomorrow?
I should probably seriously consider having some of that lunch stuff because breakfast was clearly not enough. And actually, I have to go to the stupid supermarket today because I'm out of almost everything.
Oh, no, that's not good.
Yeah,
The stupid supermarket, is that where you find the videos you respond to?
it is.
That would be kind of interesting if you could, have a stupid video store and you go there for all your stupid video needs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but they don't even have video stores anymore at all.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Is there the one Blockbuster video in Alaska and that's about it?
Well, and Blockbuster sucks. I've worked for them. You don't want to shop at Blockbuster.
Okay, I don't think I was ever in a Blockbuster video store. I've been to a couple mom and pop stores back when you could actually do that before the chains took over.
No, seriously, Blockbuster, shitty company. Want nothing to do with them. I wonder what happened to all the video cassettes.
Oh my word, yes.
I mean, I'm guessing those aren't very recyclable.
Actually, most of them, when the stores closed down, wound up getting dumped at thrift stores to resell.
I guess that makes sense. I don't like it when things make sense. Stop it.
Oh, bushy.
No, I just know for a while there that, if you went into the thrift stores, you would wind up finding just bins and bins full of tapes with the Blockbuster labels on them.
Trying to remember, when did Blockbuster go belly up?
Having another one of those moments where, like, I want to watch something, it's not available on any of the streaming services I use, and I just know that if I buy it on disc, a week later it will pop up on one of those streaming services.
Yeah, okay.
You know how that goes.
Yep.
Well, didn't you know that's how Netflix decides what to carry?
Watching my purchase list.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Actually, in a way, it is.
Is it?
Well, I think part of their criteria is based on the sales of DVDs. That if they see a lot of interest in a particular show, if the sales are going up, then they think it's worth carrying.
I actually had someone act weirdly offended that I was, like, on my behalf, that I was still watching stuff on DVD. They're like, DVD, but Blu-ray.
Oh my word. Yeah. And then what's going to be the next one that displaces Blu-ray?
Well, I suspect it's going to be something like thumbsticks with movies on them.
Okay. I wonder how the hardware cost would compare to those discs. This is interesting.
Yes, I don't know though. I mean, because like I bought a bunch of those little thumb drives for like it was something like 6 of them for $25.
Okay, so that's not that bad. I mean, we're talking $4 each.
Well, I think it wouldn't really be an issue of the cost of the hardware because that has come down so much. I am surprised that we haven't gone to that kind of format because once the hardware is produced, those thumb drives actually are quicker to put the information onto than the discs.
I suspect the main reason is just they're trying to find a way to prevent us from copying whatever's on there.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big part of it is copy protection.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, I've been talking to people about the Nintendo Switch that I'm buying and how you can get digital keys and download games onto it, or you can buy the physical version, which are cartridges. And the cartridges are basically like really thick SSD cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, like, I imagine it must not be a difficult task to get the game off of that thing, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'm sure there are hackers who could figure a way around whatever they've got on there fairly easily.
This is an interesting little thing here. I looked up Blockbuster. Yes, they have one location. I was wrong. The location is in Oregon, Bend, Oregon, wherever that is. When you look at the number of employees, it's really great. 2004, 84,300. 2010, 25,000. 2019, 3. I guess they went tits up officially in 2010.
Okay, it makes me wonder why there was one store still open.
Yes, makes me wonder too.
I've got a guess. It's almost certainly wrong, but I've got a guess.
Okay.
I think the reason it's still open is because it's Alaska, and not everyone can get their hands on internet in deepest, darkest Alaska.
Well, it's Oregon, she said.
It's
Oh,
Oregon. Yeah, I was wrong about it being
I was
Alaska.
still on Alaska. I don't know why. I guess, you know, I think I do know why I was still on Alaska, actually, because I thought the joke would be funny. And then when you switch states on me, I forgot that it wasn't going to be funny anymore.
Okay, here at the...
I wonder if it isn't some kind of a legal thing that they have to keep one store open because if they completely shut down, it would violate some contract that they were committed to for another 10 years or something.
I'm thinking maybe that's possible. What they've got here is the Michael Kelly era of 2011 to 2015. They announced that Blockbuster and Dish Network would launch a new service called Blockbuster Movie Pass. So it might be connected with that.
Well, yeah, it may have been a thing of just they needed one store open to hold on to the legal rights to the name or something.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was headed there. And then
Dude, it's gotta kind of royally suck when your entire business is based on something that's suddenly gone obsolete.
yes. Because I mean, who's got VHS player anymore?
I do.
I bet there's someone out there who's like, oh, it's just as cool as vinyl for listening to music, except with movies.
Whatever happened? Why is it that there was that half-hearted resurgence of vinyl? Because you can
It's still going.
Yes, you can see the vinyl in the stores, and like, who had the idea to resurrect vinyl?
Well, the way I hear it, people say like, oh, it has much better audio fidelity or something. You can hear deeper tones than you can with digital media or some shit like that. And I'm like, yeah, but you also get the pops and crackles and all of that, you know, the scratches on the record.
Yeah, you wear the grooves down every time you play. You know,
Well, I mean, even if you haven't, just even a brand ass new record just has that on it. And I kind of want to slap the people who deliberately put that in modern music. You know, look at how kitschy I am. I have this in my song. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Humans. The hillbillies of the galaxy.
What am I hearing?
I thought I heard a lighter.
That's what I thought I heard.
Ooh.
Who smokes in here? Do you?
Well, I
You
use a vape, so no. And that vape only has cannabis in it.
Nobody's allowed to smoke in here. This is a no smoking room.
Yeah,
It wasn't me.
Stool's the only one I can think of. Even I quit, goddamn.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm allowed. It's my only pleasure.
You're very loud, yes.
Your only pleasure? I doubt that. I think you have other pleasures, like worshiping me, for example.
I do
No,
not
that's my
worship
job.
you, even though we got to see your pants last night.
You didn't. Those were shorts.
Oh, boy.
Believe me, there is only once that I have made one of these videos in any state of unclothedness.
And that one's been played so many times, all the grooves have worn out. I do also have a vaping machine, and it's a very splendid one. Super expensive, but I can't be arsed with it, to be honest.
This is the weird ass thing. For 49 years, I smoked like a chimney. Then my cousin was, vaping the whole bit. He said, "Hey, you want to try this?" I gave it and I coughed like all the vape, whatever it was, hit my throat like a rasp.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
There's a bit of a knack to it, and when I first started, or when I first had a go at it, when you start off, you get one of these cheap little things that kind of pen-like things.
Yeah.
And, your first one, you think, oh, this is not too bad. But after a few minutes, you realize, I want a cigarette. This is shit. And I tried several times over the years. And eventually I thought, look, I've got to get into this because people enjoy it. When I go into town now, outside all the pubs, people are stood vaping rather than smoking, which is a good thing. But it never worked for me. And I ended up having to watch a YouTube tutorial on how to vape, because it's just not the same as smoking, depending on what kind of smoker you are.
Okay.
Whether you need a lung hit or whatever. There's different methods to it.
Well, when I quit, I decided that I wasn't going to try the vaping or anything because I did not want to exchange one habit for another. I figured if I was going to quit one habit, I was just going to quit the habit and not worry about it. And it's not that I don't have cravings. I mean, especially when I'm under stress. But it's really been great. It has been. I got my voice back because my voice was headed down the shitter. I sounded like Kenny Rogers with an extra helping of gravel. And I'm sure that it wasn't doing the epithelium of the lungs any good.
I think you've got a problem over there, though.
Say again?
I think you have a problem over there. I'm on the shitty mic. I think you've got a problem because the actual liquids that you can buy aren't as regulated, so you can find yourself buying things that are a bit nasty, as I understand it.
Okay.
As in bad for you.
That's the thing. The thing that weirded me out with the vape, and maybe it's different when it's not cannabis, but what weirded me out was that it's still smoke. I like from the word vape, I figured it'd be like water vapor, like you're inhaling steam. Apparently not.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's what they try very hard to imply, was that it's all water vapor, so it's completely harmless.
Yeah, I didn't realize at first that you were inhaling antifreeze, but
yeah. Well, and what people don't get is that even inhaling water vapor is a bad idea. Water in your lungs is not a good thing.
Yeah, right. kind of inhibits gas exchange. I mean, some water is absolutely necessary, but beyond the necessity, beyond what water is necessary, it's a bad thing. It's called drowning.
I could drown standing on my head.
Well, yes, that's how you have to do it if it's not very deep.
I might have,
Are you disparaging the intellectual capacity of water?
Oh, for fuck's sake, man.
What?
I might have a little play with it later.
I love that whole thing about the whole homeopathy thing with water has memory and all that other bullshit.
Yep.
Oh, man.
I've toyed with the idea of doing a series of videos on things I used to believe.
Okay.
Because, when I went through the pagan community, I tried a lot of that stuff about, the crystal magic and the color healing and things like that. Although I did take a fairly scientific approach to it, and that's why I abandoned all that shit. I tried to do controlled experiments, and since I could never get the same results twice, I was like, fuck that.
Crystal magic sounds like a child's toy from the 80s, doesn't it?
Yes,
like
it does.
you make some sort of bead necklace out of little stones or something. Crystal magic. I don't know.
I was thinking of a designer drug, but okay.
Well, okay. I don't know. I figure you put it next to your easy bake oven.
Yeah.
Oh my! They still
I
have
was
those
even saying
damn
crystal
things.
magic could have been the name of an action figure.
There you are.
I could see that.
The thing is, though, I mean, the easy bake ovens are still there, but God, they're so scaled down anymore. I mean, you could seriously hurt yourself with one of those things back in 1966.
And the problem with the easy bake ovens is try to find, the standard light bulb you need to heat it anymore.
Yes,
a fluorescent or an LED bulb isn't going to work.
Oh my! I don't know if you could use a one of those quartz halogen lamps or not.
Oh no, I think that would overload the thing.
Okay, I know you could boil water with one of those things, but
well, see that's the little bit that people didn't get. Why, traditional light bulbs were so ineffective is that it was only about 1/6 of the energy they used was given off as visible light. The rest of it was given off as heat.
Yeah, which you found out really quickly if a light bulb burned out and you were a little too quick with trying to change it.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
People laughed at me many times when I used an oven mitt to change a light bulb, but
what are you doing? Yeah, here, you try it.
yeah, I didn't have the blisters.
Yeah, that whole thing where the people would lick their fingers and then grab it, and you could hear the sizzling.
Yep.
I remember the first time I saw someone put out a candle with their fingers, and I was like, really?
Yeah, it does work. It gets a little warm, but it does work. Just your
Okay, so how many YouTubers does it take to change a light bulb?
Oh no.
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. It just seemed that's where we're going.
Well, what could the answer be, I wonder? How many?
I don't know. One to do it and another half dozen to do response videos, or I don't know.
I think she's on the right track there.
Possibly. I don't know. Man, I'm just so tired of the way that YouTube is fucking with us.
Yes,
They actually said, flat out said, that the community guidelines we are told and the guidelines by which your video might be judged by a manual human reviewer are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, so where does that leave us? How do we make sure our video won't get demonetized? And they said, we can't help you with that. We can't give you editorial advice. And I was like,
You're not
so
talking about editorial.
I'm shoot in the dark then. That's it. It's hit or miss. And it's down to the whims of the individual video reviewer. And they said, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But one thing they also said is that they also judge what happens or what their decision is based on your channel's or your video's description as much as anything else. And so I've started now putting in my description, look, this is just a philosophical debate on a topic that, yes, may be sensitive, but I'm completely following your community guidelines as I've been told they are. If you give this a yellow $sign, then you are admitting that the rules we're told and the rules we have to follow are different. And since then, no reviewer has given me a yellow $sign.
Okay, then.
So, I mean, it seems there's a solution, but it still never should have been a problem.
Right, right.
Well, yeah, it's still very underhanded that you have to know that. It's not something they're telling most of the people.
Uh-huh. I don't know. It's freaking YouTube.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I
mean,
never had the ambition to actually build a channel worth anything.
well, I didn't start out that way. In fact, if I remember right, when I started making YouTube videos, monetization wasn't even a thing.
Right, right. That's a relatively recent phenomenon.
And another part that is just deeply frustrating is before Google bought YouTube, I did get a couple of checks from YouTube itself for the advertising revenue, and I was making bank on that. I mean, like, we're talking $300 a month with maybe a tenth of my current subscribers.
Okay, okay.
It was crazy pants. And then Google comes in and changes everything, and now I'm making peanuts. I'm lucky to get $40 a month.
Yeah.
But I mean, then Patreon happened, and that made things better. But still, I don't know what I'd be doing right now if it weren't for Patreon. Starving, most likely.
That's what I get pretty much from all the YouTubers I watch, that Patreon is the only way they're getting any significant money.
Oh,
Yep.
sure. Yeah.
You know, a couple of them, you know, if they can manage to get some of the sponsorship deals, of course.
Yeah. I think Surus does pretty well with sponsorship, does he not?
I don't really know how the money breaks down for him. I know he's got a couple of sponsors now.
Yeah.
I've never even been approached. But whatevs.
Was approached, or if he approached them. Adam and Eve is one of his sponsors, if I remember correctly.
Is it Adam and Eve? I know it was a sex toy store. I didn't think it was Adam and Eve. I thought it was a different one.
You could be right about that one. You know, my memory.
Yeah, I don't remember offhand which one it was connected to.
I mean, my memory is slightly less reliable than Kate's memory.
Oh, wow. That package that has the Nintendo Switch in it is currently in Rome.
Oh, my.
Yep.
Are we talking Rome, Italy, or Rome, New York?
Italy. Well, because the only way I was able to get the Switch was from my friend Tom in Italy, where he's on a military base. So
yeah, it took me a minute to remember how you were getting it there.
So I have no idea when this is arriving. I mean, he sent it on the 2nd, and it's now the 8th. So, and it's still in Italy.
Yeah, and unfortunately, again, the COVID has really messed things up. There aren't nearly as many international flights.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a package I sent out that was going to Denmark that wound up sitting for several weeks waiting for a flight, waiting for room on a flight from Chicago to going to Europe.
My only hope is that because it was sent from a military base, they might give it priority.
I couldn't tell you with that one.
Not if
I
it's
don't
being
know.
sent through the normal post, it won't make any difference.
It was mailed from the base, though.
Doesn't matter.
Well,
Once it's in the postal hands.
I mean, they let military people board airplanes first. Why wouldn't they say, "Oh, this is coming from a military dude. Put it on the plane before whatever." I mean, it wouldn't shock me. Yes, I'm not a busy airport. Oh dear, oh dear. I'm seeing a meme. It says you just got an offer for $600,000, but to collect it, you have to have sex with the main character of the last TV show you watched. Who will it be? Unfortunately, that would be Philip J. Fry.
Okay, a little difficult to arrange that, yes.
Yes. Well, if it hadn't been him, it would have been Jean-Luc Picard. So either way.
Well, how do you think I feel? It would be Alvin the Chipmunk.
Oh, my.
I'm having a hard time even thinking what's the last TV show I watched. And, does it count that somebody else had the TV on when I happened to be in the room and I wasn't paying any attention to it?
I don't know.
Because short of that, I probably haven't watched a TV show in a month.
I actually went looking for old Alvin Show episodes, and I found about a dozen of them. None of my favorites, but there were some pretty good episodes in there. My favorite character was Clyde Crash Cup.
Oh.
Was who?
Clyde Crash Cup was an inventor who invented things by drawing them.
Okay, hold on, rewind, because apparently I lost context. What show are we talking about here?
This is the Alvin Show of 1961.
Oh, so nothing important then.
Yeah, I'm vaguely remembering it.
Yeah, and he invented baseball. He invented the bathtub. He invented the wife. He invented do-it-yourself. All this, and everything would go wrong. Spectacularly, of course.
New York Post. White supremacists and racial terrorists pose greatest risk of violence, FBI warns. Who'da thunk it? In other news, water is wet.
Lift.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. Is water actually wet?
Oh, stop. Don't do that. By the way, here's the sound of one hand clapping.
Okay. You're doing the
Yes, of course I am.
Yep.
So Kate has a mild case of the clap.
Eek.
Well, along those lines, I actually desperately need food now. So I'm going to have lunch and then I'm going to go and buy more food because I have to.
Well, do you have anything coming up you want to plug before you go?
Not really. I mean, I'm working on that animation and I may look at possibly making a new video. I don't know. But right now, nothing is definitely planned, except for actually, I do have one thing planned. Anyone who does not subscribe to my channel, I'm sending my minions after you. You will be dealt with most harshly. So if you don't subscribe to my channel, you eat yellow snow.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Just saying. Anyway, I'll catch you with the geniuses later.
Take care, honey.
Okay, I'm just wondering how she's going to find enough snow at this time of year, but...
Well, I suppose if you climb Rainier, you might be able to find a little bit of snow, right?
Oh. I don't know, that seems like an awful lot of effort to make lemon snow cones.
Yeah. Oh, boy, let's see. I'm just curious over here. Okay, so Started streaming 2 hours ago. Okay, that's not all that bad, really. Nowhere near some of my record-breaking streams.
What, this?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's when you came in, and been going about 3 hours here.
Oh. Because this is what this is saying on the YouTube page, that it started streaming 2 hours ago. But then again, it says 2 hours for a very long time before it switches over to 3. You started noon your time?
Yeah. And it's just a couple minutes to 3.
Yeah, and it's just a couple of minutes to 4 here. Yeah,
I
okay.
see what you mean on the YouTube. It says 2 hours, and it's like, yeah. So, yeah, it's like 2 hours and 58 minutes, so it's still not calling it 3 hours.
But as they say in the old country, there's a daprajnie, which I have been informed translates as yes, fermentation. Now this is weird. Okay. Oh no. Okay. We had 11. Now it's back to 10.
Well, did it count when Kate left? Just one dropping out?
It might have. I mean, we just dropped from 11 to 10, and Kate and I were experimenting with this a little while back, and there is a bit of lag involved. And when you drop out, it takes a little while to register.
Yeah. YouTube, there's a lag with everything.
God, still on. I think it was on one of your live streams. I think it was on one of these where the live stream was. I'm sorry, not the live stream. The lag was measured in minutes.
Yeah, I had one that was over 2 minutes lag between what StreamYards and YouTube had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that made it really hard because then, like, trying to highlight things from the side chat, we were on a completely different topic.
Yeah. Is my fortune not knowing is on that? Is him not knowing? But you do that thing and you do this thing, and what the hell am I talking about? Now we're down to 8. Okay.
Yeah, and what kind of scan were they taking of you? Oh, a CT scan. Okay, I didn't quite see that.
Fun. I remember those.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember when they would do the CT scans with contrast, and it's this big fucking tube of the radio opaque, whatever it was that they were using, and as they're putting, it's dilating the vein or whatever it is, and God, it felt so hot. It felt like your arm was gonna fall off.
Yeah, I never had that one.
But happily, it's been a while since I've had to have. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. Or wait a minute here. Let me think. I'm trying to remember if they used a CT scan or an MRI to figure out where to put the needle to take the biopsy. That would have been less than a year ago. It might have been one of those open MRIs.
Mm. I don't think I've ever had to do that.
Yeah, they warned me about feeling woozy and everything else after the thing was over, and I didn't feel all that bad. They gave you a partial anesthesia. They didn't put you out, but it was a sort of a halfway measure. But I was conscious and alert all the way through the procedure. I was asking questions. Hey, what are you doing now? And how are you doing it? And all this other good stuff. And then they had me in the bed in recovery for a few hours, and it's a good thing that they did not require me to stay overnight, because Jeff might have gone home from there, and then that would have been the last time I've seen of him.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of nice to have that Impossible Burger with him, but shit. Oh well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
At least I'm not bursting into tears at random intervals.
I can understand it takes a long time to get past that.
You met him. It's, you know, he's such a sweetie. Really.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just disappointed that the only picture I have of him, he's got the oven mitt over his face because he wasn't ready to show his face on YouTube yet.
Yeah. Yeah, he had shown his face very early in his YouTube career, but it was before very many people knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the very, very, very first videos he made. They may still be on his channel. I don't know if anybody went through the channel and culled any of this stuff there or not, to tell you the absolute truth.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody took the time to go over all of it. You know, was quite a volume there.
Yeah, Doorknob Head, I'm kind of thinking, yeah, you would get scanned were you wearing hot pants.
I don't know. It depends if he's got the legs for it.
Strangest thing in the world. Kate and I have talked about this on our streams, but when I was trying to do the boy thing, I hated shorts. But now you can barely keep me out of them now. So something must have changed. I'm not at all sure what it would have been.
And not like hormones can influence your moods or anything.
No, not at all. Not at all. Or the way the skin is and the whole thing. It's too bad I don't have too many pictures of myself from, say, 15 years ago. Because I can remember, in what I'm remembering, I can remember a pretty significant change between then and now. But then, that whole facial fuzz might have helped and everything else like that. And what can I tell you?
Yep. Well, we are over 3 hours. I'm thinking it might be time for me to wrap this up.
Oh my. Okay, and then time for me to get some coffee, and
it's always time for you to get coffee.
Of course it is. And then, I don't do anything until tomorrow. But I am told that my aquarium plants should be arriving tomorrow. So then I'll have some work to do. As long as I'm there for the FedEx guy.
Yeah, you gotta sit around, wait for delivery.
Yeah, and FedEx is the one for which I do not have the phone app. Not that the phone app makes any difference for UPS, mind you. They have 3 levels of notification. They have on its way, they have almost there, and they have, or I'm sorry, they have, yeah, on the road, getting close, and almost there, or something like that. And it's on the getting close for about 6 hours before the guy finally gets here. But you can never tell when.
Yeah, that must be a pain.
I mean, if I could count on the guy coming around the same time every day, then okay, I could wait and then go out there. Well, now isn't so bad. Now is the summertime, as long as it's not raining or anything like that. I'll sit by the picnic bench out back and take my laptop with me and drain the battery in 15 minutes. Oh, geez. But this for you is for me, is you might not knowing, and that for there.
Well, no, it needs to be for the knowing.
Okay, for there. Yes. And then we got all the peoples, and to here is what is Amiga Nazis doing the shilling and everything on there. Just, I see Vuli, I see Elias, I see Cassie A, I see Philip. It's like, Miss Barbara with Romper Room and the Magic Mirror.
Yep. Yep. So before signing out, yes, I would like to thank Amiga Nuts for having all the links there for us. And
Yay!
And I don't know if Greg Hartwick is still with us. He was in here earlier. Still my sole patron. If anybody wants to fix that, links are in the description.
So you are assured of a constant supply of shoe soles, right?
I don't even know if it comes to that much.
Okay.
I have not accumulated enough on Patreon for them to issue a check yet. So.
Oh, you're doing it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my. But God, I can remember those were the days. I don't know if you can even do this anymore. I'd buy a pair of shoes, and the shoes would last me 10 years. Because every 6 months I'd get new heels, and every year I'd get new soles.
Yeah, it's hard to find a shop that'll do that anymore.
Which was pretty nice, because I was getting some pretty expensive shoes back when I was working for a living. If I remember correctly, it was something on the order of $1980. Maybe 130.
Yep. Well, and I remember my dad used to get the Red Wing work shoes.
Okay. Yep.
Because those came with like a 25-year guarantee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all I can do now is just replace the damn things.
Yep.
I can get maybe a year and a half out of a pair of naturalizers. I'm kind of hard on shoes.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, that I don't get at most 2 years out of them. I have to keep replacing.
And then what's bad with me is my feet don't fall level. I walk toward the outside of my feet. So you'll get the outside of the soles, the heels worn into the sole, while the inside is pretty much intact, but you still can't do anything with the shoes. Now I did get a couple pairs of penny loafers, but I don't get to wear them that often. So hopefully they'll last me for a while.
Okay, well, I do need to shut down here. So,
Okay, kids. Everybody be good and have fun.
yeah, we'll be back tomorrow at midnight.
Bye bye.
Same bad time, same bad channel.
Okay, bye-bye all.